Great American Landowner. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 738, Simple Happiness. After Whedon drank a little bit of red wine, he also began to stab Zhou. He always likes to introduce himself to girls like this, and every time he says more than he does to men, he will also add some thinking questions. Ivanka, you are attracted by this mystery. Seeing the two joking, Ivanka also stopped thinking. She laughed elegantly twice and looked at Zhou. Is that really the case? Zhou pretended to think about it and said, it seems to be true. Haha. Several people laughed. Ivanka took a sip of red wine, and the delicate and mellow taste gave her taste buds a wonderful enjoyment. After taking another sip, she couldn't help but praise, wow, this red wine is really great. It's really delicious. Whedon also praised, this is much better than the red wine I usually drink here. Do you have a batch of fine products hidden? Zhou picked up the wine, which was labeled with the Sky Farm logo, not the winery. This is the best batch of that year, and there is only a small amount on the hillside. I don't have much in reserve. Dude, you have to get me some. Such a delicious red wine. I must collect some in the wine cellar. Whedon said impatiently. Mark Zuckerberg also looked at Zhou with a look of you know what I mean. Zhou had a headache and said, I don't plan to sell this wine. I may take out some of its wines from the same period. Looking at Whedon, who was a little disappointed, he made another turn. But, my friend, as long as you give me a limited edition piece of clothing, I will give you a box. Oh, buy it, Jess, I love you to death. Whedon stood up and stretched his neck to kiss him. No, I don't like kissing men. It doesn't feel good or bad. Zhou wanted to refuse, but it was obvious that the enthusiastic Whedon would not let him go for so long. Then, under the eyes of several people, Zhou promised to mail a copy to the two people sitting next to him. As for how much, he didn't say. Forget Mark. He doesn't know Ivanka very well, so he will keep more. As they ate and talked, Zhou's friends were already used to his big appetite. Ivanka, like Zhou's friends who just met him, watched him eat in surprise. Don't be surprised. He has a stomach that doesn't belong to normal humans. My god, he can maintain such a good figure with such a diet. It's really enviable. Whedon said jealously. Indeed. Ivanka was no exception. Mark didn't care. He ate whatever he wanted. It didn't matter about maintaining a good figure. It's just that he didn't get fat, but after middle age, the possibility is much higher. Do more exercise, and you can also become a big eater. Zhou said. If you are talking about yourself as the standard, then I would rather eat less. Mark said to Whedon, who knew Zhou. Ivanka also realized something. Looking at Zhou's strong and streamlined figure, he looked better than those men in the gym. It seemed that he had been exercising purposefully and looked very balanced. Several people started to talk about their bodies with great interest. Zhou's biology helped him a lot. He looked like an expert explaining, which made people admire and respect him. Jess, I suddenly found that I'm really happy to know you. Ivanka has a good impression of handsome men who speak with a sense of humor. Zhou just happened to catch up with this type, and he is quite attractive compared to the men she has dated. Me too. Zhou also smiled and replied, I wanted to say this sentence just now, but it's a pity that you said it first. Haha. He looked at Ivanka's unexpected eyes, thinking that she was not stupid, so he should tell the truth quickly. Of course, the latter sentence is a joke. He said in a serious manner, but, really, it feels good to chat with you. This makes me want to ask you out, to do something together again. Is this a date? Ivanka has been pursued by too many men, and these routines are already very familiar. But there are not many who can really make an appointment with her, and those who make an appointment are usually eliminated in the second round. There are really few who can make it to the third round, very few. Zhou pretended to think about it. He suddenly didn't know what to say. To be honest, he hadn't tried the dating culture in the United States. They had a meal and chatted together. If they felt good, they would become boyfriend and girlfriend. This matter is worth considering. Girlfriend? I don't know. Oh. Ivanka looked at him unexpectedly. The same was true for Mark and Whedon on the table. Is this still the Zhao they knew? Well, it seems so now, especially Whedon. It can be seen that Zhao felt that Ivanka was a serious woman, and she was not the same as the girls he had dated before. Zhao thought it through after he finished speaking. Yes, I believe in fate and feelings. If we are destined, maybe we will meet again on some occasion. Okay, whatever you want. Ivanka was not disappointed. She was not the kind of woman who cared about a little gain or loss. After the meal, several people dispersed. Whedon and Ivanka had something to do today, but Ivanka just came here and wanted to eat something delicious, so Whedon brought her here. Mark Zuckerberg was the same. The company had a technical meeting in the afternoon, so it was obviously not suitable to continue drinking and activities. Zhao didn't care. He had already thought about where to go. After saying goodbye to several people, especially Mark, he finally got into the car. According to the arrangement, he went to Sky Games first. There was no plan to hold a meeting. The main purpose was to visit various departments and game teams to see their progress and experience. By the way, he made some suggestions. After all, he had a little bit of foresight. Even if it was something he didn't care about, it might bring new ideas to his subordinates. In the evening, I had dinner with Andy and other company executives. Several foreigners have become accustomed to their boss being a Chinese. I like to chat with employees during dinner or talk about business during the chat. The world will not revolve around you, but you have to revolve around the boss who pays you. Zhao couldn't figure it out at the beginning. Why did Western business go to China and have to work according to their rules? I'm going to open a company in the West. Do I have to follow their habits? Just kidding. Who pays whom? Fortunately, he only thought about it, and what he really did was to talk about things while eating. He used his personal time. Fortunately, he didn't do this kind of thing very often, and the company has been developing smoothly in the past few months. There is no need to say much about the main credit. Almost all of it is his. People like this who can only do programming can only make his ideas come true. Without them, there are many people who can make it. Without the ideas of his boss, it would be impossible to make these games. Therefore, Zhao has a lot of prestige in this area, and everyone trusts his ideas and creativity. Dinner went to his restaurant, which was still full. The senior executives of Sky Games didn't know that this was his store. They had heard about this Western restaurant that had risen in the past few months. The rise of the company also led to the increase in their salaries. They could still afford to spend 1 or 2 times in high-end restaurants. After dinner, Zhao suddenly became bored, really a little bored. Sitting in the car, he didn't know where to go. Sitting in the car, he didn't say anything, and suddenly thought of his family and daughter. It seems that he hasn't called his child in the past 2 days. He thought about it carefully, and it seems that he really hasn't. He picked up his watch to check the time, and calculated the time difference. It was probably just after 11 o'clock in China now. I don't know if this little girl is sleeping in at home again. Looking at the photo of his daughter on the phone, Zhao thought about his daughter's sleeping posture with a smile. It was cute and sometimes looked similar to him. He pressed the dial button and the ringtone started playing after 2 beep sounds. The song of the Phoenix Legend has become popular this year. Even though Zhao thought it was too vulgar, his mother liked him, and there was nothing he could do. We are all vulgar people. Hearing the ringing of the phone, he muttered self-deprecatingly. At home in China, Niu heard her grandmother's phone ringing and quickly ran over to help her grandmother get the phone. After seeing the text of her son, she immediately picked up the phone. Her happy little face was a little red. Dad. The daughter's voice rang on the phone. Zhao also felt that he had something to rely on, and the loneliness he felt was reduced. He was not solitary at ordinary times, but today he was busy, and looked at the people who were busy all loving each other. He suddenly felt that he seemed to be missing a lot of things. A mystery in his heart was fluctuated, which was uncomfortable and strange. Wow, it's Niu. Does my dear baby miss daddy? Niu held the phone in both hands, fearing that it would fall. The winter at home was not very cold, but it was not far from the sea and there was a little wind. The little girl's face was red, and she said crisply, "Yes, Niu misses daddy so much. I miss her so much. Baby is so good. Daddy misses Niu too." Zhao Jixi felt a little sweet in his heart. This is a person with a child. Even if he is not a dedicated father, he still has a daughter who loves him. Perhaps this is a simple happiness. Then daddy is also very good. Niu imitated Zhao Jixi's tone just now, and turned back to praise. "Then how about giving dad a thumbs up?" Zhao Jixi said. He had already applied this to Tomcat, and his daughter knew what it meant. Give dad 1,000 thumbs up. No, 10,000, 100,000, a million, a billion. Niu wants to give dad all the thumbs up. The daughter followed her thoughts, full of innocence and fantasy. Happiness, perhaps, is that simple. Zhao Jixi felt it. You are really dad's little baby. Chapter 738, Simple Happiness. After Whedon drank a little bit of red wine, he also began to stab Zhao Jixi. He always likes to introduce himself to girls like this, and every time he says more than he does to men. He also adds some thinking questions. Ivanka, you are attracted by this mystery. Seeing the two joking, Ivanka also stopped thinking. She laughed elegantly twice, and looked at Zhao Jixi. Is that really the case? Zhao Jixi pretended to think about it and said, it seems to be true. Haha. Several people laughed. Ivanka took a sip of red wine, and the delicate and mellow taste gave her taste buds a wonderful enjoyment. After taking another sip, she couldn't help but praise, "Wow, this red wine is really great. It's really delicious." Whedon also praised, "This is much better than the red wine I usually drink here. Do you have a batch of fine products hidden?" Zhao Jixi picked up the wine, which was labeled with the Sky Farm logo, not the winery. "This is the best batch of that year, and there is only a small amount on the hillside. I don't have much to store. Dude, you have to get me some. Such a delicious red wine. I must collect some in the wine cellar," Whedon said impatiently. Mark Zuckerberg also looked at Zhao Jixi with a look of "you know what I mean." Zhao Jixi had a headache and said, "I don't plan to sell this wine. I may take out some of its wines of the same period." Looking at Whedon, who was a little disappointed, he turned around again. "But, my friend, as long as you give me a limited edition piece of clothing, I will give you a box." "Oh, buy it, Jess. I love you to death." Whedon stood up and stretched his neck to kiss him. "No, I don't like kissing men. It doesn't feel good or bad." Zhao Jixi wanted to refuse, but it was obvious that the enthusiastic Whedon would not let him go for so long. Then, under the eyes of several people, Zhao Jixi promised to mail a copy to the two people sitting next to him. As for how much, he didn't say. Forget Mark. He doesn't know Ivanka very well, so he will keep more. As they ate and talked, Zhao Jixi's friends were already used to his big appetite. Ivanka, like Zhao Jixi's friends who had just met him, watched him eat in surprise. Don't be surprised. He has a stomach that doesn't belong to a normal human. My god, he can maintain such a good figure with such an amount of food. It's really enviable," Whedon said jealously. Indeed, Ivanka was no exception. Mark didn't care. He ate whatever he wanted. It didn't matter about maintaining a good figure. It's just that he really didn't get fat, but after the Chinese New Year, the possibility is much higher. Do more exercise, and you can also become a big eater, Zhao Jixi said. If you are talking about taking you as a standard, then I would rather eat less, Mark said to Whedon, who knew Zhao Jixi. Ivanka also realized something. Looking at Zhao Jixi's strong and streamlined figure, he looked better than those men in the gym. It seemed that he had been exercising purposefully and was very balanced. Several people started to talk about their bodies with great interest. Zhao Jixi's biology helped him a lot. He looked like an expert explaining, which made people admire and respect him. "Jess, I suddenly found that I'm really happy to know you. Ivanka has a good impression of handsome men who speak with a sense of humor. Zhao Jixi just happened to catch up with this type, and he is quite attractive compared to the men she has dated." "Me too." Zhao Jixi also smiled and replied, "I wanted to say this sentence just now, but it's a pity that you said it first. Haha." He looked at Ivanka's unexpected eyes, thinking that she was not stupid, so he should tell the truth quickly. "Of course, the latter sentence is a joke," he said in a serious manner, "but, really, it feels good to chat with you." This makes me want to ask you out, to do something together again. Is this a date? Ivanka has been pursued by too many men, and these routines are already very familiar. But there are not many who can really make an appointment with her, and those who make an appointment are usually eliminated in the second round. There are really few who can make it to the third round, very few. Zhou pretended to think about it. He suddenly didn't know what to say. To be honest, he hadn't tried the American dating style. They had a meal and chatted together. If they felt good, they would become boyfriend and girlfriend. This matter is worth considering. Girlfriend? I don't know. Oh. Ivanka looked at him unexpectedly. The same was true for Mark and Whedon on the table. Is this still the Zhou they knew? Well, it seems so now, especially Whedon. It can be seen that Zhou felt that Ivanka was a serious woman, and she was not the same as the girls he had dated before. Zhou thought it through. After he finished speaking, yes, I believe in fate and feelings. If we are destined, maybe we will meet again on some occasion. Okay, whatever you want. Ivanka was not disappointed. She was not the kind of woman who cared about a little gain or loss. After the meal, several people dispersed. Whedon and Ivanka had something to do today, but Ivanka just came here and wanted to eat something delicious, so Whedon brought her here. Mark Zuckerberg was the same. The company had a technical meeting in the afternoon, so it was obviously not suitable to continue drinking and activities. Zhou didn't care. He had already thought about where to go. After saying goodbye to several people, especially Mark, he finally got into the car. According to the arrangement, he went to Sky Games first. There was no plan to hold a meeting. The main purpose was to visit various departments and game teams, to see their progress and experience. By the way, he made some suggestions. After all, he was a little bit forward-looking. Even if it was something he didn't care about, it might bring new ideas and points to his subordinates. In the evening, I had dinner with Andy and other company executives. Several foreigners have become accustomed to their boss being a Chinese. I like to chat with employees while eating, or talk about business. The world will not revolve around you, but you have to revolve around the boss who pays you. Zhou couldn't figure it out at the beginning. Why did Western business come to China and have to work according to their rules? I'm going to open a company in the West. Do I have to follow their habits? Just kidding. Who pays whom? Fortunately, he only thought about it, and what he really did was to talk about things while eating. He used his personal time. Fortunately, he didn't do this kind of thing very often, and the company has been developing smoothly in the past few months. There is no need to say much about the main credit. Almost all of it is his. People like this who can only do programming can only make his ideas come true. Without them, there are many people who can make it. Without the ideas of his boss, it would be impossible to make these games. Therefore, Zhou has a lot of prestige in this area, and everyone trusts his ideas and creativity. Dinner went to his restaurant, which was still full. The senior executives of Sky Games didn't know that this was his store. They had heard about this Western restaurant that had risen in the past few months. The rise of the company also led to the increase of their salaries. They could still afford to spend 1 or 2 times in high-end restaurants. After dinner, Zhou suddenly became bored, really a little bored. Sitting in the car, he didn't know where to go. Sitting in the car, he didn't say anything, and his mind suddenly thought of his family and daughter. It seems that he hasn't called his child in the past 2 days. He thought about it carefully, and it seems that he really hasn't. He picked up his watch to check the time, and calculated the time difference. It was probably just after 11 o'clock in China now. I wonder if this little girl is sleeping in at home again. Looking at the photo of his daughter on the phone, Zhou thought about his daughter's sleeping posture with a smile. It was cute and sometimes looked similar to him. He pressed the dial button and the ringtone started playing after 2 beep sounds. The song of the Phoenix legend has become popular this year. Even though Zhou thought it was too vulgar, his mother liked him, and there was nothing he could do. We are all vulgar people. Hearing the ringing of the phone, he muttered self-deprecatingly. At home in China, Niu heard her grandmother's phone ringing and quickly ran over to help her grandmother get the phone. After seeing the word son written on it, she immediately picked up the phone. Her happy little face was a little red. Dad. The daughter's voice rang on the phone. Zhou also felt that he had something to rely on, and the loneliness had become less. He was not so lonely at ordinary times, but today he was busy, and looked at the people who were busy or busy with each other. Suddenly, he felt that he seemed to have lost a lot of things. A mysterious part of his heart was moved, and he felt uncomfortable and strange. Wow, it's Niu. My dear baby, do you miss your daddy? Niu held the phone in both hands, fearing that it would fall. The winter at home was not very cold, but it was not far from the sea and there was a little wind. The little girl's face was red, and she said crisply, yes, Niu misses daddy so much. I miss her so much. Baby is so good. Daddy misses Niu too. Zhou felt a little sweet in his heart. This is a person with a child. Even if he is not a dedicated father, he still has a daughter who loves him. Perhaps this is a simple happiness. Then daddy is also very good. Niu imitated Zhou's tone just now, and turned back to praise. Then how about giving dad a thumbs up? Zhou said. He had already applied this to Tomcat, and his daughter knew what it meant. Give dad 1,000 thumbs up. No, 10,000, 100,000, a million, a billion. Niu wants to give dad all the thumbs up. The daughter followed her heart's thoughts, full of innocence and fantasy. Happiness, perhaps, is that simple. Zhou felt it. You are really dad's little baby. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 739, Family. The mother at home also heard the ringtone. She was just in the kitchen. Recently, her granddaughter kept helping her get the phone, so she was not in a hurry. Niu, who's calling? The second sister was watching a Korean drama on the sofa. She imitated Niu's tone and said loudly, your sons. What? The mother didn't react at first, but when she reacted, she felt something was wrong. Her granddaughter seemed to be well educated. She was much more capable than the girls she taught. And why did this voice sound so familiar? It was obviously her daughter's pretending voice. Second girl, you deserve to be punished. Come and clean the table. The mother shouted unhappily, untied the bib around her waist, and walked out. My dear mother, your daughter just gave birth not long ago, and you are willing to let me work. Of course, the second sister didn't go. She sat on the small blanket, eating fruit and watching Korean dramas. This is life. You're still giving birth to a child. It's been a few months, and you're still talking to me about this. I, your mother, gave birth to you not long ago, and I went out to work. Mom started to talk again. Second sister wanted to slap herself at this moment. What a fool. Why did she bring up such a thing? That obviously carries revolutionary sentiments. I don't know when this tight-fitting curse will end. Mom's voice is so loud that even the sound of the TV can't be heard clearly. It's not that it's too loud, but when she talks, in addition to distracting attention, your TV sound must not be louder than her voice. If it's louder than hers, you'll die and have to be whipped. Fortunately, Mom remembered that her son called back, and after talking to second sister for a while, she went to the living room, where Niu was. The little granddaughter was smiling while holding the phone, and she laughed from time to time. It must be that her father was telling her something again. The child was very well behaved. Seeing her grandmother coming, even if she was a little reluctant, she still wanted to continue chatting with her father. But she still said to the phone, Dad, Grandma is here. Mom stroked Niu's head. This good granddaughter is so lovable. Niu said a few more words, then looked at her mother and said, Grandma, Dad is looking for you. She handed the phone to her mother reluctantly. Mother Zhou took the phone and couldn't help kissing the little girl. There was a little sound in the waves. Niu is so good. Grandma made delicious food for you in the kitchen. Go and get it out and eat with auntie. There is delicious food. Yes, thank you Grandma. Niu nodded in response. Although her father is more attractive, she can't compete with Grandma, so it's more cost effective to get some food. After responding, she trotted to the kitchen. Mom even shouted behind her, slow down. Be careful, no one will compete with you. Oh. Got it. Niu responded obediently and slowed down her pace. But it was only a little bit. The second aunt at home was even younger than her. She had to be faster. When the second aunt heard about food, she ran faster than a rabbit. This was what her father told her. This child. Mom smiled with relief. Mom. The voice on the phone pulled her back from her granddaughter. Xiaoji. Have you eaten? Zhao Jixi was helpless. Mom just liked to ask if he had eaten. But this was also a way of caring about him. She was concerned about him. Every moment when others didn't remember, the mother would definitely remember. Mom, I have eaten. I just ate outside with the company. Don't worry, I didn't waste anything. Zhao Jixi said in a warm voice. That's right. You have been free range for a while, and you know that every grain of rice is hard earned. It's different from the time at home. The rice grains that fell on the table could be fed to the chickens. Mom said with satisfaction, and then she said with relief, it's good now, much better than before, but there is more food. Zhao Jixi wanted to ask more. It seems that it costs more money now? Of course, this is just something to think about. If you say it out loud, it would be courting death. Mom, your son is a human being. You should stop saying free range or domesticated. He's like a pig. It's so depressing. Zhao Jixi complained helplessly. When you were a kid, you were just a little pig. Now that you're grown up, you don't admit it. Mom also joked and said all of Zhao Jixi's nicknames when he was a kid. Mom. Zhao Jixi was even more depressed. Okay, I know. I won't talk about this. I won't talk about this. Mom said with a smile. You're not at the farm today. Well, no, the company has something going on in San Francisco, so I came over to take care of it. Be careful on the road. There are cars everywhere in the United States. Drive slower. We are the bosses. Don't rush. No one is rushing you. Mom said with concern. I know, the cars are driven by bodyguards. They are professionals. Don't worry. That's good. I'm sure you'll be fine about this. You're not in a hurry or slow when doing things, unlike your third sister, who's in a hurry and rushing, not like me at all. Mom joked, you're her boss too, so try to persuade her. Oh no, just talk to her and ask the girl to listen, and you have to show your boss's authority. Okay, I'll talk to my third sister later, and you'll be relieved. Zhao Jixi said with a smile, without telling his mother. Everyone is an adult and has their own way of doing things. There are some things that everyone knows, but they just can't change. The two chatted about family matters, and both Mom and Zhao Jixi were smiling. Mothers don't ask much of their children, but being able to chat and talk with them more is what they like best. Mom, when are you going to come to the United States? It's been so long. I'm not asking you to live in the United States with my dad and not go back. You're just going to live here for a while. I've given my daughter to you. If you don't come, send Niu back quickly. I haven't seen my child for a while. Didn't we just video chat a few days ago? Mom. I know. I won't talk about this. We still need a few days, and the visa and passport issues will be ready soon. You don't have to worry. It's just a few days, said the mother. Zhao Jixi wanted to confirm the time with his mother, but his mother didn't say it was really a time. She just said it was a few days, a few days. Fortunately, she only said it seriously. It was only a few days. He felt much more at ease. His parents still seemed to be unable to let go of the things in China. After all, they had been here for decades. If they left for too long, they would be very uncomfortable. In addition, his mother didn't like to go to far places. She didn't want to go to some faraway places in China, let alone the far United States. This feeling made her feel a little afraid of gains and losses. Jay Chou chatted with his mother for a few words, and then his father took the phone and chatted for a few more words. The second sister also took the phone away excitedly. She told Jay Chou about the bird clothing store happily. There are not many such stores in China. The second brother-in-law and the eldest brother-in-law have already gone to Beijing, Shanghai and Guangzhou to open a retail store first. Of course, wholesale goods are still purchased through provincial agents, and opening a retail store is considered a personal investment. Jay Chou asked with interest, how are the sales in China now? You are the big boss, and you are still asking me? The second sister looked contemptuous, and Zhou could hear that tone on the phone. My sister, I have so many companies, how can I know everything? Zhou said, as if he was complaining. Show off, you are showing off to me again, aren't you? You little brat, can't you show off your superiority when you have nothing to do? Low-key, do you know what low-key means? Zhou showed his true nature. Brother, I'm already low-key enough. You will probably see me in the newspaper tomorrow when you are in China. He paused and said, besides, I'll learn this from you. Go away, I'm not that kind of person. I'm kind-hearted and beautiful. How can I be the kind of person who shows off? The second sister said, and her tone was as if she was wronged. Well, being beautiful and kind-hearted, it seems to have nothing to do with whether you are that kind of person or not, Zhou said. The second sister paused, as if she had forgotten something just now. Oh, brother just mentioned reporting in the newspaper. She hurriedly said, Zhou, you just said you are going to be in the newspaper. Yeah. This time it is probably going to have a bigger impact, and it is different from the previous 2-day eye-catching ones. Zhou said. What's going on? Forbes is going to announce their rich list soon, and I may be on it recently. There should be several lists. If converted into Chinese currency, I think I'm also famous on the list of yuan in China. There are many people on the list, but they are not famous. The second sister didn't believe what Zhou said. They are very old. How old am I? Zhou said the fundamental reason. The second sister thought about it and immediately covered her mouth and sighed. It's true that the media will always report on things that can attract attention. You guys look at the time and come to the United States soon. Zhou said for their sake. This way there won't be so many annoying reporters coming to interview. A reporter interviewing? The second sister's thoughts are a little scattered. Second sister. Zhou called a few times. I was distracted just now. What happened? The second sister said everything with a little concealment. You should persuade your parents more. It would be great to live in the United States for a few months. The beautiful scenery can also cultivate sentiments. Zhou continued to talk about everything. The second sister understood. It turned out that those were just excuses. The real purpose was to take his daughter to the United States as soon as possible. She said, oh, I know. Zhou was still thinking about what his second sister said until he hung up the phone. How much did she know? What he said about the reporter just now was a little exaggerated, but it was also possible. Chapter 740, a little surprise. Forget it, don't think about it for now. Let's go to the hotel. Zhou, who didn't know what to do, said to the bodyguard. But why did he feel like he had forgotten something? Little bird clothing. Sister, how could I forget it? This second sister's ability to change the subject is really unique. It seems that next time I talk to them about this, I'd better talk to the eldest sister to be more reliable. The eldest sister, who was a teacher, has some plans for doing things, just like teaching, and also has a record or something. At least I have to have a bottom line in my heart. The car started slowly. Zhou looked at the pedestrians outside the window, mostly Europeans and Americans. There were also some backpackers, and he suddenly remembered that when he just had money, he wanted to be a backpacker and traveled to many places in China. He also met a group of friends in Mengdi, although there were also some in other places, but they didn't have many friendships. This friendship also depends on fate. If two or several people look at each other, everyone will be happy to get to know each other. There is no fate. Even if you walk together for a few days, you will not feel like contacting each other after you separate. Back at the hotel, he thought that he had been treating his little brother badly by not going to the nightclub for a long night without women. Besides, he was so pitiful sleeping alone. Should he find some girls to come over? Zhou got up from the bed after a few minutes, his heart agitated. He picked up the phone and called the agency in San Francisco. Everyone was familiar with the place. He often went to this agency. It was much safer than calling Jenny. As for going to the nightclub to call one or two female companions back for a one-night stand, he still felt that it was a bit time-consuming. Besides, if he went now, he might as well drink all night there. Why would he come back? He could do that in the bathroom or in the car. However, after comparing horizontally, he still felt that it was more comfortable in bed and much more playable. Hello, Mr. 110. The person on the other end of the phone called Zhao's code name. He had a bit of a bad taste in his heart, but it was a pity that the Americans were calling 911, which wasted his sense of humor. In the past few years, the new boss of the Celestial Empire came to power and cracked down on prostitution, gambling and drugs, making it much more difficult for him to go out to solve his physiological problems. He could order fast food and bento nearby, and even worse, there were fast food meals. Unfortunately, after the crackdown, he could only eat high-end meals, which cost 1,880 yuan per set. Hot spring bath, massage and back kneading, and finally a technician and a girl. The technician was average, but he was also responsible for pushing your butt, helping you save some energy to move with the girl. As for the girl's appearance, it was the same as the technician's technique, which was still worth the price. Hey, call 2 girls to the hotel room. Pretty girls are fine, Zhao said. Do you have any other requirements? No, I like surprises. If I ask for too much, there may be no surprises, right? Zhao said. Okay sir, you will get a surprise. Have a nice night. The female voice on the phone said mysteriously. Thank you, I think it will be a good night. After that, he hung up the phone. He always liked to find call girls. It was simple and quick to pay. 10 minutes later, the bodyguard stopped 2 girls at the elevator entrance and called Zhao, saying, "Boss, 2 girls are looking for you." Although he said this, his eyes did not relax his scrutiny of the 2 girls. Check them out and let them in, Zhao said. Okay, boss. The bodyguard responded. There were 2 bodyguards at the elevator entrance and 2 more outside Zhao's suite. One of the male bodyguards looked at the other woman and felt a little familiar. He recalled why he felt familiar. The female characters with his limited brain were not good characters. He frowned slightly and thought. His mind flashed back and kept flashing back until the yacht party some time ago. He was one of the bodyguards who went with Zhao, and one of the girls was the arrested female police officer. Fuck. He cursed inwardly. The boss liked to find call girls when he came to San Francisco. They all knew this, but this time he actually ran into an undercover policeman, and it was the same person. He really didn't know what to say. Find a reason to stop the 2 women. I'll go in, Fei said seriously in a low voice. The colleague on duty with him had already understood what he meant and nodded to show that he understood. The bodyguard pressed the doorbell. The boss has something to do. Zhao was also surprised, thinking that something had happened, so he said, "Press it, come in." He was preparing champagne at this time, and he thought it would be a good night later. Hey, Fei, do you need a glass? Boss, I'm responsible for your safety, the bodyguard said seriously. This time his 4 major security consultants did not come out with him. Fei was a good guy, so he was responsible. Sorry, I lost my temper. Zhao put down the glass and apologized. Fei, you are a trustworthy person. Tell me if there is anything going on. The bodyguard did not mind Zhao occasional arrogance. This was their boss. Boss, the last time we were on the yacht, we met the female undercover of the police. This time this woman is here again. Fei said the matter simply and clearly. Zhao wanted to drink the champagne in his other hand, but he froze for a moment. Fuck, the police in San Francisco, will they send out female police officers to be choked? He cursed. He was not satisfied. Is this woman a prostitute? Fuck, it really makes me want to meet her. Of course, this is just talk. Zhao did not really do such a boring thing, and he did it at his door. Stop them, I'll make a phone call. Okay, boss. Fei nodded and walked out, closing the door by the way. Zhao angrily took out the mobile phone that was specially used for such things and called. The call was still connected quickly. Hello, Mr. 110. Bullshit. Fuck, didn't you say you were the safest and most secure group in San Francisco? Zhao said this and took a deep breath. How could you have a policeman sneak in? Sorry, Mr. 110. We will give you a reply right away. Can you tell us a little bit? We apologize for the situation you encountered. We will give you a satisfactory apology. The person on the other end of the phone was still polite, but the voice seemed a little anxious. This matter was also a little unexpected. Find out the matter for me immediately, and take back the goods you sent me by the way. At this point, he paused and felt that this was not the best way. No, send your goods to another place. Anyway, don't show up in front of me. Fuck, it's really a bummer. Okay, sir, we will solve it. The female voice breathed a sigh of relief, and it seemed that the man on the other side was not very angry. Zhou Jixi was silent for a long time. The woman did not dare to hang up the phone, because the other side did not hang up. Send 2 more express deliveries. My wonderful night cannot be ruined by a woman. The female voice suddenly became relaxed, and a smile appeared on her face. Unlike when she spoke to Zhou Jixi, the smile was just in her voice. We will send the cleanest goods, and ensure that this kind of accident will not happen again. I don't want there to be a second time. Give me an explanation right now. Right now. After saying this, he hung up the phone. He picked up a glass of champagne and drank it. He didn't want to go to the police station now. Compared with those celebrities who were deeply involved in the scandal of soliciting prostitutes, his problem was just a small one. At least he was not married, and it was not a big deal. It was just the idea of the Chinese people that, if a prostitute was caught, it would obviously not be a good thing. He was not Mr. Huang, who did not use hidden rules, and paid for the girls himself, and still received congratulations. However, Brother Anquin, who had a beautiful wife, was scolded half to death for having a threesome. By the way, Brother Anquin was even less punished than Mr. Huang for having a threesome. Whether married or not, single, and having a threesome, I really don't know how the Chinese law calculates it. But one thing was fully reflected in Brother Anquin. Behind every goddess, there is always a man who slept with her until he vomited. Even a sister who costs 800 yuan is considered more beautiful than his wife with beautiful breasts and long legs. This matter is really, the asterisk fans don't know how to understand it. Zhou Jixi stopped talking nonsense, as his thoughts were already a bit off. His room was not suitable to stay in now, so he quickly went to another suite next to it to talk. The 2 girls at the corner over there had no idea that he had left. Zhou Jixi also had to sigh at the design of the hotel corridor. Having a corner was not only convenient for guarding the door, but also for the transfer of guests inside. The woman on the other end of Zhou Jixi's phone also started to act. She first called the woman who was out to serve. One of them had already answered the phone, but the other, the female undercover, did not answer the phone. Okay, got it. The girl who came with the female undercover did not look at the female undercover for long, turned back and pressed a button, then retreated into the asterisk elevator. Hey, where are you going? The female undercover said. I have something to do. I need to go back and lie down. The woman didn't say much. In fact, she didn't know what was going on. It was just that the front desk called and asked her to go back first. The female undercover realized that something seemed a little unusual, but she couldn't stop it. At the call girl's front desk, her subordinates reported to the person in charge. The call to 102 didn't go through. We only heard the sound but no one answered. It shouldn't be our people who went there. It was probably our people who were replaced on the way, but that person didn't bring the secret communicator. The person in charge was relieved immediately, and the people next to the person in charge were the same. She is in charge of review and invitation. The women she is in charge of have all been reviewed by her. She will investigate their family background and other things. After all, most of these things serve the wealthy. If something really goes wrong, it will be a bit difficult to take over the business of these wealthy people. Chapter 741. Watching a laugh. Zhou Jixi put down the phone and listened to the explanation from the other end. At least it was not caused by their organization, but only external factors. Of course, if something goes wrong, he will still be the one who suffers losses. As for asking such an organization for compensation, it seems that they only want money and women. Zhou Jixi doesn't know what else they have that can make him feel comfortable and satisfied. A few women at a time is enough. It's not fun to play with more. He doesn't have several little brothers. He just has a precious thing. If he rubs it on women all the time, if he does it too much, it will be worn smaller, and he will lose a lot. We have to think about this matter and see how these people compensate him. The female undercover was driven away, and that's right, the bodyguards turned their faces and didn't recognize her. It means that their boss doesn't know her at all and doesn't know why the hotel let her in. Madam, if you don't leave, we will call the police. You may have to go to the police station to explain. The bodyguard said righteously, with a cold face. Call the police. The woman said with a smile. She wanted to blurt out that she was the police. Damn it, you can't bully me like this. The undercover mission was messed up, and now she pretended to be a prostitute. Oh my god, those damn bureaucrats really deserve to die. Madam, I seriously warn you, please leave here. This is private territory now. You have no right to stay here without our consent before we check out. Now, immediately. The bodyguard approached her a little bit and stared into her eyes, fierce and lethal. Get out of here. The female undercover wanted to do something in a fit of anger, but unfortunately, the bodyguard stopped her just as she made a move. In order to prevent her from getting hurt, another bodyguard next to him took out a pistol and pointed it at her with a serious expression. Please leave immediately, otherwise, I will choose to shoot. He also grabbed a concealed carry permit. With this thing, concealed carry is legal in the United States. The bodyguard holding the girl's hand deliberately used some force. Ah. The girl screamed in pain. Fuck, let me go. Do you think I like it here? She shook her arm that had been released. A bunch of garbage. After that, the elevator opened and she went in immediately, as if she was afraid that they would catch up and beat her. A bodyguard at the door suddenly whispered, "Boss, she's gone down." Okay, got it. In the stairwell, Zhou looked up and saw that he was already on the 3rd floor. Ferry, do you think it's a bit stupid to run up more than 20 floors of stairs just to see that woman's embarrassment? It's okay. The bodyguard Ferry who followed Zhou replied. This answer is obviously not a good answer. That's a bit stupid. Fortunately, this word is used in this place. What do you think is the difference between a bit stupid and not that stupid? It's indeed a bit stupid. Seeing this, the bodyguard just told the truth. But you still say it's okay. Seeing this idiot bodyguard, Zhou decided to use his better words. The two continued to play downstairs. After a while, Zhou and Fei arrived at the lobby and went to their own elevator to wait. 4, 3, 2, 1. With a ding, the elevator door opened. The girl inside looked angry, and now her face was even darker, basically looking unhappy with everyone. Hello, lady, I didn't expect to see you again. Zhou's unscrupulous voice rang in front of her. Is it you? She was a little unsure, but the smile made her sure that it was the person. It's you. Unfortunately, she is not an Oscar-winning actress, and her skills need to be improved. Zhou shrugged and said, I didn't expect to meet you again. It's really fate. Haha. As she said, looking at the clothes she looked at, I didn't expect you to be a professional in this line of work in the police station, and now you are still a prostitute. Oh, sorry, I said it wrong. It should be dressed as a prostitute. The word is correct. You. The woman pointed at him angrily. Oh my god. Zhou seemed very surprised. I'm sorry, it seems that I misunderstood. There are so many people in your police station. How can you let you do it all the time? I'm really sorry, I said it wrong. He looked back at his bodyguard and said, it's probably a part-time job. You can call the San Francisco Police Department tomorrow to ask if it is legal for their female employees to do this kind of part-time job. Usually, they earn money from us taxpayers, and now they have to earn extra money. It's too much. It's a reasonable comfort to taxpayers, but they didn't come to me. What a pity. The woman was already gritting her teeth. If she hadn't been a little rational, something here would have been public. She must make this man look bad. Of course, ma'am, I won't look for you. For things like soliciting prostitutes, I think you'd better drive to a legal state to do it. As long as you register there, you can get a license and go to work. Zhou looked like he was doing it for your own good. Compared with what he said now, it was really too irritating. You're too much. Fuck. The girl was furious. Seeing her angry, Zhou didn't show any emotion. His mouth curved into an arc, cold and villain-like. He looked at her calmly. No, it's not me who's overdoing it. It's you who's overdoing it. The first time we met might have been an accident. We met again this time. If it's still an accident, it's really a coincidence, or you must have been favored by the goddess of doom. Compared to your little thoughts, I'm saying a few words now, just for your own good. Zhou Jixi smiled disdainfully, followed by 2 steps into the elevator, and the bodyguard stood next to the button. Some people are not someone you can mess with. After saying the harsh words, Zhou Jixi was about to retreat, but unfortunately, seeing the girl with tears in her eyes, his little bit of emotion made him say a few more words. Girl, don't turn your hatred towards me. I'm also a victim. As for the last incident, it was just an accident. You can only blame someone. I don't know, but it definitely won't be me. That is definitely not a good choice. I'm just in a good mood today, otherwise my lawyer will find you. Violent crimes are out of date now. Madam, you will see a fighter who protects his own rights, and your final result will be nothing more than filing for bankruptcy. So, girl, maybe you hate your boss. That would be a good choice. Haha. Goodbye, girl. Zhou Jixi waved his hand, and the girl watched the elevator door close. Even if the door was closed, the smile was still in her mind. The powerlessness at this moment made her not know what to do. She thought she could teach this bastard a lesson, but she didn't expect that she would teach him a lesson again. She accidentally saw Zhou Jixi checking into the hotel. According to what she learned recently, she arranged all this, but unfortunately, it was all useless. Chapter 742, The Woman Who Left, and the Woman Who Arrived. Zhou Jixi looked at the bodyguard Fei who was hesitant to speak. It's not that hard to understand. These are all arranged by this woman. She has been keeping an eye on me from the beginning. I just came down to confirm it. No wonder I felt like I was being watched today. I didn't expect it to be true. Bodyguard Fei understood it immediately. No wonder the boss looked so mean today. Sorry, boss, it's my fault. It's none of your business. She probably used the city's surveillance network. She's really a woman who can jump around. I just felt a little alarmed as a warrior. Zhou Jixi saw that he didn't understand a little, so he put it in a simpler way. It's similar to the special and unsolvable warning of old soldiers on the battlefield. Do you understand what I mean? I understand, boss, Fei said. The two arrived at the floor where Zhou Jixi was. They didn't say much along the way. It was just a small fish. It wouldn't bring him much trouble. Now let's enjoy this beautiful night happily. Zhou Jixi entered the room alone, turned on the music, poured 2 more glasses of champagne, danced to the rhythm, twisted his waist and shook his little brother from time to time. I like you. Zhou Jixi's phone rang again. He thought it was the girls who arrived, but when he picked up the phone, he saw that it was not the phone he used to contact the girls. Hey, Jixi, do you know where I am? A woman's voice came from the phone. Zhou Jixi gathered his thoughts before speaking. Sister Yi. What? Didn't you expect it to be me? Zhang Yi said in a joking, but slightly accusatory tone. Of course not, it's just a little unexpected. Zhou Jixi said with a laugh. Is your movie finished? Well, it's finished. Now it's handed over to the director and editor. I've been busy for so long, and it's time to take a break. Zhang Yi's tone was a little tired, and Zhou Jixi could hear that her voice was a little hoarse. That's good. Don't tire yourself out. It's good to relax yourself now. Guess where I am? Zhang Yi asked the question again. Zhou Jixi thought for a moment and said, back to the capital? No. Traveling? Almost. That's hard to guess. Sister Yi, where do you want me to guess? Zhou Jixi said, but he picked up another mobile phone and started to log into his Tomcat and Facebook to see if Zhang Yi had updated any content so as to get some hints. Especially his Tomcat, like the later Momo of the Celestial Empire, has a map positioning function, so friends can find the places that have not been concealed. Tomcat glared at it first, knowing that this was Zhou Jixi's masterpiece, and Zhang Yi also played Tomcat more. The other Penguin Weibo and Xinlang Weibo were all refreshed by her team. Zhou Jixi took a look. Damn, it was actually in the United States, and this was San Francisco International Airport. He said with a surprised tone, Sister Yi, you are in America. Huh, how did you know? Zhang Yi asked in surprise, and then she thought of the answer. After playing Tomcat with Jay Chou for so long, she is now considered an expert in the new era. It's just that she rarely communicates with Jay Chou on the internet, unlike Bieber who always posts 2 Weibo posts to show his presence. Jay Chou hung up the phone again. He just pushed the express delivery and now he has to drive to the airport to pick someone up. Well, he doesn't want to think about having a good sex life tonight. I didn't disturb you, did I? Zhang Yi asked Jay Chou on the phone while driving. No, I just... Jay Chou didn't think of saying it for a while, and paused for a while, but the woman saw something. Did I ruin your good thing? Zhang Yi felt a little sour in her heart, not very sour, just like palpitations. It came so quickly, and then retreated immediately. No, even if there is a big good thing, it can't compare to the good thing you've brought here. Zhao Jixi quickly denied. Sister Yi, I'm almost there, come out a little later. It's okay, this is America, I'm not as famous here as I'm in China. There are a lot of Hollywood girls, they won't follow me. The paparazzi are not stupid either. Zhang Yi said cheerfully. You still feel lucky? It's really strange to think so. Zhao Jixi was a little surprised. You can make a lot of money in China. Coming to America is nothing more than a layer of gold plating, a little international style, and those advertisers will raise your price when you return to China. If you are really famous here, I really don't know if I can return to China. Zhang Yi said. After a circle of relationships, you think you are tall and noble when you return to China. The ideas of these rich people are really strange. What's so strange about this? People are just like ordinary people. Really? Hey, forget it. Don't talk about this. It's meaningless to talk too much. She wanted to talk about the things and atmosphere in China, but Zhao Jixi knew all of this, and he was also talking about the bad country. You are not a rich person yet, and you are talking about others. Zhang Yi said, after changing the subject. Zhao Jixi was stunned for a moment, and the few people didn't want to talk about that, so they didn't talk about it. He simply laughed at her and said, you forgot about yourself. I'm a person who is in the dark. He made the two of them laugh. My car has arrived at the airport. Wait a minute, I'll come in. Well, hurry up, I have a lot of things, you have to help carry them. Zhang Yi responded. Zhao Jixi saw her as soon as he entered the airport. She was wearing a lady's hat, a pair of sunglasses on her face, and a pair of white headphones on her ears, which were connected to the Apple phone he gave her. There was also a coat on the cart in front of her. The weather in China is not as good as San Francisco. If she didn't have a coat there, she would be frozen with her base clothes. Zhang Yi took off her coat, and was now wrapped in a black scarf with white flowers. She was wearing black skinny pants and a pair of high heels. She was wearing a new brand autumn style this year. The sides of the clothes were very long and reached the knee position. But unlike the skirt, she wore a scarf because of the cool breeze in San Francisco at night. It was not only fashionable but also warm. It also made her look full of fashion sense, and she looked much younger than her age. Sister Yi. Zhao Jixi walked in her direction. Hey, Jess. Zhang Yi also saw him and smiled in surprise. In his hands, he opened his arms and waited for him. With the idea of not taking advantage of something, Zhao Jixi certainly would not refuse this hug. The faint smell of perfume was the kind of intoxicating fragrance he liked. Very familiar, because it was given by him. The touch, even if he had felt it many times, still felt it tight and elastic. It seemed that her bra was well chosen. Zhao Jixi secretly praised that it could still have a shape without a steel ring, which was inseparable from the usual exercise. It can be seen that Zhang Yi still does some exercise to ensure her body shape. Chapter 743, A Game for Two. As the two embraced, a camera with a telescope in the distance started snapping photos quickly with long lenses, close-ups, and long shots. It captured everything, even half of Jay Chou's face. If it weren't for a pair of high-end sunglasses, it would have been a full face photo. It's really good stuff. Domestic movies don't come to the United States in post-production. It really has a purpose. It's a date with a new boyfriend. An international star is an international star. This speed is not to be underestimated. The paparazzi is not a paparazzi. He looks like a middle-aged strong man with a beard. He is experienced. When he felt someone noticed him, he moved the camera to a pretty girl and started taking photos. Jay Chou's bodyguards followed him from a distance. He didn't tell his men that the person he picked up was a star, so the screening of such cameras was only carried out according to safety regulations. In addition, Jay Chou didn't let them protect him at a close distance, but just followed him from a distance. The bearded man slowly left the crowd and walked out of the airport. He got outside earlier than them. If he could take a few photos of the two of them walking out of the airport together, that would also be good. I went outside and found a taxi in the back, gave him a tip, and told him to shut up. Anyway, the party was waiting for guests, and it would take some time for him to get his turn. The taxi driver accepted the US dollars with a clear conscience, and he shut up and looked at the Asian in front of him with interest. The paparazzi uncle did not look at the photos just now. He had to hurry up now, otherwise he would miss it. I don't know who this man is. The man that Zhang Ziyi likes should not be a pushover. He was full of speculation about the identity of this man, so that the gossipers would spend more money. I also came to San Francisco today to do business. I have a house in Stanford and I'm staying at the Four Seasons Hotel now. Let's go there first. Zhao Jixi pushed Zhang Ziyi's car with her bag hanging around her neck. The woman's jealous behavior just now was very little girl. Zhao Jixi also thought it was fun, so he didn't refuse. Well, then stay in the hotel first. Zhang Ziyi said. Are you coming to the United States for vacation or to do business? Zhao Jixi asked. We are just here for a break. We might go to Hollywood in the middle. It's not a big deal. We'll just take in a show along the way. Zhang Ziyi said with his hands in his pockets, looking relaxed. Haha, then have fun. I'll take you to my farm tomorrow to stay for a few days. I guarantee you won't want to leave. Zhao Jixi said. Zhang Ziyi smiled happily, put his right hand on his shoulder, looked at him and said, okay, I saw the photos you sent me. I have to go to your farm when I come to the United States. The scenery looks so beautiful. Because of their high heels, their heights didn't seem to be much different. Zhao Jixi was still a little taller. He turned a little to the left, and the tips of their noses almost touched. Breathing each other's breath, their eyes met, and they seemed to be frozen in this moment. It was the same scene as in a movie. When he was still thinking about whether to kiss her, Zhang Ziyi tilted his head a little and kissed her gently. Zhao Jixi himself didn't react for a moment and stepped back a little stiffly. Zhang Ziyi was a little too strong, and her body leaned towards him. Zhao Jixi immediately moved forward a little to hug her. Just at that moment, he seemed to see her disappointment. He was not the kind of person who would let women take the initiative all the time. At this moment, no matter what happened, no matter what ambiguous game was played, he would kiss her first. Touching Zhang Ziyi's bright red lips, Zhao Jixi held her waist hard, and the woman's hands just happened to be around his neck. Inside and outside the airport gate, there were many people kissing and hugging, some leaning against the wall and some leaning against the pillar. More people were like them, standing together and hugging and kissing. Everyone was either parting or getting together, and the excitement of this moment always made people want to express it. He put his tongue into her mouth and licked her tongue lightly. After the two kissed for a while, they both blushed a little. Zhao Jixi suddenly regretted it a little. He hadn't played enough ambiguity, but he kissed her directly. This situation was not good. If he became a girlfriend, he would have to be more careful when going out in the future. Zhang Ziyi's face also turned red, and his lips were swollen a little from Zhao Jixi's kiss. I just touched you, and you dared to kiss me, taking advantage of me. Then I thought you kissed me. Zhao Jixi just wanted to explain something, but he didn't say it out loud. I thought you kissed me first, so I kissed you. You can't blame me for this. Stinky boy. Zhang Ziyi slapped him angrily, but this action and tone made him feel like a spoiled child. Don't think too much. I was just a little obsessed with filming recently, so I accidentally kissed you, and you kissed me for so long in vain. I really didn't think too much. Zhao Jixi also pretended to be stupid. With a very sincere look on his face, he said, I promise to the party. Go. Zhang Ziyi slapped his arm that was erected in front of his chest. Zhao Jixi smiled and took his arm away, but put his arm around her shoulders. Let's go. I'll treat you to food when I get back. I promise you'll make me bleed. So angry. HMPH. Zhang Ziyi continued to argue with Zhou Jixi and didn't let him take his hand off her shoulder. The paparazzi outside took pictures carefully and kept muttering, "There's material, there's material." They kissed. They actually kissed. Damn, I deserve it. I got lucky today. With this photo, the headlines for the next few days are all mine. They're all mine. The fat editor-in-chief is still arguing with me. If he's not happy, I'll just change my job. HMPH. I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich. There were only 2 people sitting in the car, and the atmosphere was not as warm as he thought. Instead, there was a little awkwardness. Both of them had some little thoughts. Zhou Jixi's was not mentioned. He was actually like a child in terms of emotions. He didn't want to take responsibility at all, and sometimes he even thought about escaping. Usually, he prefers a simpler emotional life, and it would be best if it can be solved with money. With women he is more familiar with, he actually prefers to play ambiguity. The best state is more than friends, but less than lovers. And Zhang Ziyi came all the way to the United States, not with the intention of killing Jay Chou. And he really looks like a good man, even if he has a child with him. When she came, she had already thought about how to face the child. She didn't believe that she couldn't scare a child. Is the filming of the movie going well? Jay Chou wanted to ease the atmosphere. It's okay. Zhang Ziyi said. Oh. And then, nothing else. He drove to the hotel, took down a few suitcases, and handed them to the hotel waiter, and asked them to get the car. His bodyguards would also keep an eye on him. Go eat something. You probably didn't eat much on the plane. Jay Chou said. I ate a little bit. I'm not very hungry. I just wanted you to eat me, but you don't cherish this opportunity. If you want to eat yours, there are plenty of opportunities. Just wait to be slaughtered. She patted Zhou Jixi's shoulder. Sister, I don't have much appetite now. Don't order a lot of things, but can't finish them. That would be a waste. How can you waste your time when I'm here? Of course, Zhou Jixi didn't say this out loud. Then I'll ask the kitchen to send some snacks to the room, and I'll take you up now. By the way, I can adjust to the time difference. Yeah, Zhang Ziyi agreed to his arrangement. I can't sleep for the time being. I just slept for a while on the plane. You chat with me for a while. Anyway, get some food and drinks. I don't mind you smoking. What do you think? Is that so? Zhou Jixi looked very embarrassed. His eyes secretly glanced at her expression, and when he saw her change, of course there is no problem. Sister Ziyi asked me to chat with her. Brother must accompany her, eat with her, drink with her, chat with her, hug you to your satisfaction tonight. Get out of the way. Zhang Ziyi threw the bag and wanted to hit Zhou Jixi, but she gave him a step and dodged. Be serious, it's a good thing. I told you that it sounds like I'm looking for a third companion. Yes, yes, yes. How can you find a third companion? I was wrong. We have to be high-end and generous. Let's find a fourth companion. What do you think? Zhou Jixi joked with a playful smile on his face. Zhang Ziyi picked up the bag from behind and wanted to hit him. The two of them entered the elevator and the room with a smile on their faces. He opened the champagne, sipped the wine, clinked glasses with Zhang Ziyi, smiled at each other tacitly, and talked about interesting topics. The night was gloomy. Zhang Ziyi lightly lifted the ends of her hair, and the collarbone and cheeks beside her ears were full of three-dimensional beauty and temptation. Your earrings are so beautiful. Zhou Jixi found a sentence to compliment her, so that she wouldn't feel that he was staring at her all the time. I think it's beautiful too. Bing Bing gave it to me when we were filming. She said she bought it in an old store in Venice. It's very historical yet fashionable. Zhang Ziyi said with a smile, touching the earrings on her earlobes. That Fan Bing Bing? Well, didn't I tell you that we were filming this together? I didn't pay much attention. You attracted all my attention. Zhou Jixi looked at her deeply and said. Zhang Ziyi was not as bold as she was at the airport. When they were together, she always felt that something would happen, and it was not something she could control. Her eyes escaped his gaze. You just keep talking nonsense. As she said this, she took the prawn she had peeled and stuffed it into Zhou Jixi's mouth. After eating the prawn, he also sucked her fingers lightly, even though there was a thin layer of gloves between them. It also made the two of them feel a tingling electric shock. Zhang Ziyi's hand paused, and she did not retract it as quickly as the little girl. She retracted her hand as usual. The action actually expressed an attitude, but she really couldn't make up her mind. At the airport, she could take the initiative, but she felt that she could control the situation, and Zhao Jixi would not make any other moves in public. She thought a lot while the two of them were getting along. The age difference between them was really like a big stone in her heart, making her want to take a step back immediately when she wanted to take it forward. Chapter 744. Walking out the door and following the paparazzi. It is said that wine does not make people drunk, but people get drunk by themselves. Zhang Ziyi was not drunk. Even though she had drunk a lot of alcohol with just one sentence, she remained alert. She invited the man and decided to come to the United States to see him, but she could not control what happened next. She didn't know how to go. Maybe it would be simple to just have a simple love affair. Sister Ziyi, do you want to rest first? Zhao Jixi had seen her tired face and said with concern. It doesn't look like we are suitable to drink all night today. Ah. Zhang Ziyi exclaimed lightly and looked at her watch. It was already past 1 o'clock without her noticing. It's late. Zhao Jixi stood up. There is everything in the hotel. You have a good rest. I won't disturb you here. He had already moved 2 steps while talking. He took this step first, but it was a step of retreat. He was not the kind of person who could abandon someone after having sex without feeling a little guilty. He had not thought of a solution for this relationship, so it was better to drag it out. When he was about to reach the door, Zhang Ziyi suddenly stood up, looked in the direction of Zhao Jixi and called out, "Jess." His heart skipped a beat. It was not suitable to stay tonight. The two of them still felt a little reluctant, but he still turned around and said, "What's wrong?" Zhang Ziyi's tangled lips and teeth were about to fight, but in the end he looked at him with a hint of resentment and said softly, "No, I just want to say thank you." Zhao Jixi breathed a sigh of relief, and the smile on his face became much brighter. "It's okay, don't be polite to us. Talking too much will make us look unfamiliar. Don't worry, go to rest." After he finished speaking, he went out quietly and closed the door. When he came out, he leaned against the door without leaving. "I told you to be artistic. What are you tangled about? Hurry up and get on with it. What else are you thinking about? Fuck, you deserved it in your previous life." Zhao Jixi leaned against the door and muttered softly. Zhang Ziyi sat down, picked up the red wine, and poured a little, and drank a glass directly. Taking a deep breath, she still had a strange feeling in her heart. "Oh my god, what happened to me? Oh my god, oh my god." She slapped the table and stood up, and walked quickly towards the door. But when she held the door handle, and wanted to turn it open, she couldn't move at all. Her hand was just grabbing, wanting to turn it open, but not wanting to. She was tangled in her heart, and finally she could only sigh softly, turn around and lean against the door. Her body gradually slid down and slowly sat down. At this moment, she didn't know, she really didn't know anything. Zhao Jixi walked away, like a scene in a movie. Neither of them rolled in the sheets together, even though they already knew that this was a matter of sooner or later, but at this moment one didn't want to force it, and the other hadn't thought it through. So Zhao Jixi sometimes always thought that men should think with their lower body. No need to think too much, just pick up the gun and go into battle. Why bother so much? Unfortunately, reality is reality. It's not something you get by spending money. You always have to pay something other than money, and he doesn't want to give it. Being a human being is not as simple as I thought. Zhao Jixi leaned on the bed and looked at a Playboy magazine, which had all kinds of girls in it. "It seems that I have to solve it myself tonight." The paparazzi chased to the door of the hotel, but unfortunately he did not take a photo of the two people entering the hotel. He had already found 2 cars following the 2 people. At first, he thought it was a criminal activity, and he was excited to take pictures and call the police. Paparazzi also have moral integrity. Even if it is moral integrity after taking pictures, maybe they can get more information in the end. Unfortunately, they didn't see any action when they arrived at the hotel. However, he hurried down after the 2 people got out of the car and went in. The hotel does not allow taking pictures of their guests. as an experienced paparazzi from other places, without the local advantage, and a paparazzi who is not well disguised in the taxi. It is better to be honest here. In order to avoid the photos in his hands being put into prison, he will not underestimate the ability of these people to hide. If caught by these people, they may be stripped naked and searched. Especially for the rich, as long as the hotel gives the rich information, not only can they sell well, but the action is also the bodyguards of the rich, which has nothing to do with the hotel. After the man and Zhang Ziyi left, the car that the two people were riding in did not have a doorman get in and drive away. Instead, several people got out of the car behind them. One of them came out and gave the doorman a tip, then got in the car and drove away. The other few people followed in, and the doorman and waiters had no intention of stopping them. The paparazzi knew at a glance that these people were bodyguards. It seemed that the man's identity was not very simple, especially with the bodyguard group, and those bodyguards were muscular, and they were very professional. The hiring price of these people is not cheap. The paparazzi saw that he couldn't take pictures of Zhang Ziyi and the man after getting off the car. He could only find a good position in the distance and secretly take a few pictures of the bodyguards. He didn't dare to face his face when taking pictures. According to his previous experience as a soldier, if you take pictures of powerful people, it is easy to be noticed. So he mostly took snapshots of the back and the license plate number, and that was enough. The next few days would be a battle. He had to wait for a day or two. If he was lucky, maybe the two would come out in the early morning. The best case scenario would be a man and a woman coming out together. If it was worse, the man would come out first. After all, he was here to take pictures of Zhang Ziyi. But coming out in the morning and afternoon was normal. After all, the man didn't look like a married man, so he ruled out the possibility of coming out in the early morning. Then if he was unlucky, he would have to wait until the afternoon. Maybe the two would have a good time, and it was possible that they would play in the hotel room for a day or two. After all, there was food and drinks inside. He had met young artists before, and they had a great time, and played for 2 days. But in the end, he was photographed with dark circles under his eyes. He didn't know what the result would be this time. He couldn't guess how old the man was for the time being, but fortunately he looked Asian, and he was sure that he was at least under 30. Nowadays, there are many Asian men who are getting younger and younger, and he didn't think that the man was necessarily in his 30s. But to attract attention, he wouldn't write a high age. It would be best if it was a sister-brother relationship. The female star ate tender beef and hooked a young mysterious rich man, and most importantly, he was a handsome guy. He had no car and could only stay in a phone booth. The temperature in San Francisco was not very low, so he could get through it by wearing thicker clothes and holding a cup of hot coffee. We can get a new car when we go back now. The old car will be left to my wife. It will be much more convenient for her to go to work, pick up the kids, and buy groceries in the future. The paparazzi uncle thought about the beauty that the photos of Zhou and Zhang Ziyi brought to him, and his sleepiness had long disappeared. He took out a pack of cigarettes and was about to smoke when he remembered that this was in the United States and a public place. He could only put the cigarette down again, smiled bitterly, and put the tobacco leaves in his mouth to chew. He looked at the entrance of the hotel, not daring to leave for too long, for fear that he would not see the people who left, which would be unlucky. He picked up the camera to look at a photo, then looked up at the entrance of the hotel, and took care of both checking the photos and keeping an eye on them. This is where the old hands are much better than the new ones. There are dozens of photos of the two kissing in the camera. In just that short minute or so, he quickly pressed the button and changed several focal lengths. The photos were very beautiful and clear. Looking at some of the previous photos, the two were at the airport pickup point. Zhang Ziyi was smiling like a flower, and the man slightly bent his mouth. The faint smile was very warm. Then, the cool-looking man hung Zhang Ziyi's bag around his neck. The faint helplessness in his expression gave him a feeling of doting, which made the paparazzi uncle happy for this international Zhang. The man was not in the previous shots, but some photos taken in China. After sorting out the photos in his hand, he nodded with satisfaction and copied some of the best photos on the memory card. He took off his shoes and took out the insoles. There was a groove in the shoes, which was a must-have for him as a paparazzi. The paparazzi uncle, who was born as a scout, had a greater sense of crisis than those young men in the circle. So he made a lot of money in this industry. The house, car, wife, and children were all earned by his hard work and caution. As for the mysterious man and Zhang Ziyi, will they get into trouble because of this photo, or will they break up due to unhappiness? That has nothing to do with being happy for her here. Who told him to eat this bowl of rice? He also has a wife and children, and he has to support the family. This is his responsibility. As for Zhang Ziyi and the mysterious man, they can only accept reality. After packing up, he can continue to look at the photos with peace of mind. This long night, he has to find something to do. Observing photos can often reveal more things. This is a compulsory course for paparazzi. At least the wealth of the man in the photo can be reflected in him, but there are also rich people wearing ordinary brands, but they are a minority after all. For example, this man is wearing Dolce & Gabbana, and the black diamond on the earring does not look like a fake. There is nothing hanging around his neck. The belt and shoes are all famous brands. Some of them he can't recognize, but by comparison, the price of this outfit is at least $100,000. If we don't count the diamond on the ear, there is also a watch. Oh, yes, a watch is more important to a man than a belt. After carefully looking through a few photos, I finally took a picture of the watch. I could see his watch when he was pushing the car and kissing. Oh my god. This kid can wear a watch worth millions. The paparazzi uncle was shocked and shocked. He is also a watch enthusiast, of course, a car enthusiast. Anyway, he likes to check out luxury goods. Frank Mueller's Mega 4, the most expensive one on the domestic website, costs more than 18 million Chinese yuan, which is estimated to be more than 20 to 30 million US dollars. Oh my god, this kid can't see that the most valuable thing is actually the watch on his body. The uncle was jealous, really jealous. Chapter 745 Invitation and Things. How could he not be jealous? All his assets added up were not worth a fraction of the value of this man's watch. 8 million was a number that he could never reach, not to mention that it was 18 million. It was like winning the 5 million lottery 3 times, something he had only heard of but never seen. The uncle was getting more and more absorbed in looking at the watch, and suddenly a burst of inspiration seemed to come to his mind, which was very strange, as if his mind had been unsealed. He quickly took out his mobile phone and tried to go online, but it was impossible, and he hadn't had time to apply for a network card for his laptop. Fortunately, he could make calls, so he quickly called back to China and asked his colleagues to find out about Zhang Yi's recent scandals, especially those related to a watch. The colleague replied in a short while, and it was indeed a mysterious man who had been involved in Zhang Yi's scandals before, but whose face had not been photographed. This man seemed to be very wealthy, and he was wearing a watch worth several million US dollars. Netizens found out that it was the Meg 4 of Frank Mueller, which combined the characteristics of 1, 2, and 3 above to develop the most complicated watch in the world. It not only had many parts, but was also very expensive. The paparazzi skipped the topic that the colleague had been talking about the most interesting to them. After the colleague talked a lot, he wanted to ask his opinion, but he found that the guy had hung up the phone long ago. Fuck you, you are destroying the bridge after crossing the river. Brotherhood is like this. I was depressed, really. The uncle was very happy now and had no time to care about the depressed guy. I couldn't see the picture for the time being. I could only call back and promise to compensate my colleague well before the man was willing to send him the MMS. The uncle waited and finally got the picture. He took a closer look and compared it with the one he took. He could confirm that it was the same person with the arm and the watch, but he thought about it carefully. The maximum benefit was to first expose Zhang Yi's new love, and then wait until Zhang Yi denied it, and then expose the news of the previous scandal. This was the explosive point. The draft of the heart was already in place, and now it depends on the subsequent development and the identity of this man. This is a bit difficult, especially in the United States. He only has some connections in Hong Kong, but not in Hollywood. It's a big deal to know a few reporters in Cannes. There are really too few Chinese celebrities who come to the United States to mingle. There are quite a few sports reporters because the basketball giant was too famous. After a night, there were a lot of tissues lying on the floor in Jay Chou's room. He was too lazy to clean them up. Last night, he, a time traveler, was really a model of being worse than beasts. He didn't even go up to push him down. He really thought he was Liu Zhou, or Liu Zhou wielding a knife. The phone rang, and he was too lazy to answer it. Unfortunately, the sound was too annoying, and it kept ringing. Fuck you, is it never going to end? He reached out, and took the phone depressedly, and answered it without even looking at it. No matter who you are, if there is nothing important, you can wait for bad luck. Jobs was startled by the resentful voice on the phone. He picked it up with his right hand to check the time. It was already 10:30. It's not too early. Didn't he say that his life is very regular? Did he have a party yesterday? I'm Steve Jobs. Yeah, Steve Jobs, right? You. He was just thinking about what to say, but suddenly stopped. Steve, what's up? It's not polite to disturb someone's sleep. Sorry, I wanted to call your assistant, but she doesn't know what you're doing. Man, aren't you taking your two assistants with you recently? I've been sent out to work recently. They're capable. I don't have anything to do now, so you know. Jay Chou slowly got up, walked naked to the bar in the room, took a glass of wine, and took a sip. Jobs could only be helpless with this explanation. Sometimes he really wanted to be as idle as Jay Chou. Compared with Paul of Microsoft, he was just not as luxurious. Unfortunately, he was not that kind of person. He liked that kind of person to be a shareholder of his company. The shareholders of Apple held a charity auction for the Democratic Party. Jay Chou dug out the eye budgets from the corners of his eyes. What time? It starts at 5 o'clock this evening, so you are very anxious, but if you sleep, you won't have enough time. Jobs said. Fuck, my assistant didn't even inform me of this. Zhou Jixi cursed immediately, and then his assistant seemed to be outside. The organizer didn't receive your reply letter, so he asked me to call and ask. Jobs looked as if it was true. Okay, I know. I'll go. Zhou Jixi said. That's it. Let's talk when we meet. Okay. Zhou Jixi hung up the phone, thinking about calling Mei back, or Niha, but both of them were doing things, so it's better not to do it for now. He asked the company to send two assistants over, and they were surrounded by bodyguards who were big men. Even the female bodyguards were mostly gun-playing roles, and playing the role of a guest personal assistant was just a thought. He called his chief think tank and asked her to review two personal assistants for her. The requirements were that they had to be smart and pretty, not edible but comfortable to look at. Elena's recent investments with his investment company have yielded good results. For this woman who was hired at a high salary, he did see her ability and was very satisfied with her. Boss, we are still in China. I will review the personnel as soon as possible. Elena said calmly. Okay, you can do it as soon as possible. I'm not in a hurry, but Mei and Neha have other things recently, so I need some people to handle my personal affairs. Zhou Jixi said. I will get it done as soon as possible. Elena's words make people feel very trustworthy, and of course she is also very convincing in her work. That's the best, you can do it. Zhou Jixi said with satisfaction. By the way, boss, we have invested in group buying websites in China. You can take a look when you are free recently. Although there are some failed cases, there are more successful cases. Group buying. Zhou Jixi thought about it. Behind the last few group buying websites in China, there are internet giants, Baidu, Penguin, 365, etc. and their survival values are also different. You invest in the websites I want, and it doesn't matter if you invest more. Anyway, if we sell them in the end, we will not lose money. Although I don't know why my boss is so confident. The performance of the websites he mentioned is indeed good. Their founding teams are also very reasonable and their capabilities are indeed very good. By the way, how is the matter of Gao Jiangnan? Zhou Jixi asked. His think tank has been making plans for Bao Wang to enter the Chinese market. He plans to try the domestic fast food and high-end restaurants, and acquiring a good chain store is a good choice. Aunt Zhang has already been cheated, and he doesn't mind cheating her again. As for S sister's future wealthy life, it seems to be none of his business. Dinghu has already begun to move. Kyo Jiangnan has not done anything about its listing in the past 2 years. Their gambling agreement has made Dinghu shareholders very dissatisfied. They don't want to carry this burden, so they want to find someone to take over. Elena paused and said, the American private equity investment CVC seems to have a connection with the Zhang family. Yeah. Zhao Jixi didn't know what Aunt Zhang was doing, but he wanted to buy the shell of Kyo Jiangnan, so this matter had to be handled well. You guys take care of the Dinghu matter first. I'll contact the people from CVC. I'm not in a hurry about this matter, and it's best not to occupy the funds if possible. We'll calculate it, Elena said. Recently, the security company's funds have been transferred to the investment company one after another. If you use this money well, it will add up to about 100 million euros in the future. Just keep it in the investment company first, and then transfer 40 million US dollars to the security company, Zhao Jixi said seriously. The rest will be used as investment funds in China. Elena was much happier when she heard that there was new money. Sometimes the investment rate of return is just a little lower, and because of the funds, they can only sell it to invest in projects with higher returns. It's a good thing to have new funds coming in, and it's also very important for the next project. Well, as long as you approve these, the funds can be transferred immediately, Elena said. Zhao Jixi talked to her about some things before hanging up the phone. They usually communicated more through emails. Zhao Jixi didn't see many paper reports. Only the important ones to be signed were paper. Standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window with the cup in his hand, it felt really great. Niu's waist swayed, and the little brother also shook a few times. You think so too? He shook it twice again. Haha, it seems we think the same thing. The evil taste only lasted for a while, and he finished the wine in the glass in one breath. He was still a little uncomfortable with being naked, so he casually took out a set of casual clothes from the space. Just when he was about to put them on, he remembered that he hadn't washed yet. He was too lazy to do it himself, so he entered the space and asked the goblins to emit green light to clean directly. His teeth were cleaner and whiter than going to the teeth for washing. He went to the river of vitality to soak, and after shaking off the water stains bit by bit, he left the space wearing the bath towel sent by the goblins. Only then did he put on his clothes. The style was simple and comfortable, and the purpose of wearing them was to be comfortable. He called the waiter to send up some breakfast. Although the buffet was almost over at this time, he could just pay the kitchen to make it. He looked at the time, but he didn't know if Zhang Yui woke up. He asked a female bodyguard to go over to ask about the situation, and waited for a while before opening the door. She still had a bath towel around her head, and it seemed that she had just woken up. The boss wants to ask if you want to have breakfast. Zhang Yi was also hungry. Well, I'll be there in a minute. So the female bodyguard went back to report to Jay Chow. He said that after knowing it, he asked the chef to prepare some food she liked. The girl didn't eat in the morning like him, a carnivore who couldn't even have meat in the morning. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 746, The Attacking Paparazzi. There is a charity auction in the evening. Come with me, Sister Zai. Zhao Jixi didn't intend to be rejected. Although his tone seemed to be asking, his meaning could be seen from the words he used. What kind of thing? Zhang Ziyi didn't refuse and asked directly. Zhao Jixi felt a little warm in his heart. At least people gave him face, which was what he liked. You can just do a simple charity auction, which is actually a party fundraising reception. The Democratic Party is warming up for the election in California recently, and they need more support. The two seem to be unrelated, but they are actually doing the same thing. Political party. I'm from China. Would this be inappropriate? Zhang Ziyi frowned slightly. The Chinese have never liked, or are not very willing to get involved in politics. Thousands of years of history have told them that there are only a few who succeed in doing this, but there are a lot of unlucky failures. I'm a supporter of the Democratic Party now, but maybe I will become a supporter of the Republican Party in a few years. Changing political parties in the United States is like changing clothes. If you donate $1 to them, they will treat you as one of their people and give you a badge worth a few cents. He smiled and said, so, don't take it too seriously. Those congressmen are just like talent shows, even if they are different in nature. Is that so? Zhang Ziyi also had his own considerations. The Jewish shorty rarely got involved in politics. Although he was rich, he had no relationship with upper class politicians. And it seemed that he respected the congressman very much, unlike Zhou Jixi, who treated people as clothes. Don't think too much, you are just my female companion. There is nothing else. Anyway, it's just like you usually attend a cocktail party. Just find some people to chat with. Okay. Listen to you. Zhang Ziyi said, after thinking about it. She didn't want to refuse. She was from China and was just participating in a charity event. It was just that she thought things were complicated. Then go try on the dress later. Zhou Jixi was satisfied. He noticed that Zhang Ziyi, who was on vacation, couldn't bring a dress. That's why he said that. I just happened to go buy a set, and I didn't bring any clothes when I came out. Yeah. She did have some, but since Jay Chou said so, of course it would be better for them to go together. I don't know how different Fan Bingbing's aloofness is from Zhang Ziyi's, but Zhang Ziyi gives him the feeling of being more like a woman, the kind of woman he is satisfied with, and has a sense of conquest. The two of them ate breakfast and lunch leisurely. The paparazzi uncle who was waiting outside was chewing a hot dog, and by the way, he booked a car to serve him. He paid for 2 days in advance, and he didn't know when they would come out. For the sake of his identity as a man, he still had to follow and look for clues. It's 12 o'clock, these two people won't be lazy and play in the hotel for a day, right? The uncle was a little depressed, and he had already made plans to spend the rest of the day here. The afternoon might be wasted. According to inertia, today he will have sex all afternoon, and in the evening, maybe there will be nightlife, and then he will see the two of them. Young people are full of energy, just like me. But if I keep having sex for 2 or 3 days, I'll be in trouble. Time is still passing. When he was in the army, he had to do exercises, ambushes and 1 or 2 days. At least the environment is much better now. Unfortunately, he is getting older. Hey, man, do you paparazzi wait with cameras every day? Asked the black driver in his rented car. It has been 4 hours, and he has been wondering if this man doesn't have to pee urgently. It's necessary. Don't you have a car, and can you drive for others? The uncle said. Then do you need to go to the toilet? Man, aren't you afraid of damaging your bladder? The black boy was really curious about this question. No need, the uncle said bluntly. In fact, when he asked the black man to buy food just now, he had already solved it in the car with a bottle. But of course he couldn't tell him this, otherwise he might be beaten. Amazing paparazzi. The black man looked incredible. I don't feel the urgency to pee. Oh my god, it's so strange. When I'm driving, if I feel the urgency to pee, well, the uncle felt that it was acceptable to endure the black man's nagging for the little money he paid. Who told him that the money he paid was cheap? Stop. After enduring for a few minutes, the uncle immediately called out. Hey, man, I haven't said it yet. Stop right now. Get ready to start the car. Let's see if we can catch up. Don't let the bodyguard find out. The uncle said loudly. Although the black man was casual, he still had a sense of contract. Of course, this was also related to the fact that he only charged half of the fee, and he was still waiting for him to pay the balance. But when he looked outside, he shook his head and said, brother, it's impossible not to be discovered. Why? The uncle took a camera in his hand and took pictures. Zhou Jixi and Zhang Ziyi appeared at the door of the hotel, followed by 2 bodyguards. He tried his best to avoid pointing the camera at the bodyguards. Man, they are professionals. I'm just a driver. The black brother said honestly. Fuck, is there any way? The uncle continued to take pictures with his camera and said anxiously. At least I have to know where they are going. That's okay. But you have to pay a sum of money, of course, not for me. You can hire people from the night company, the group of people who ride bicycles around the city, to do short distance express delivery. They sometimes do this kind of simple business. You pay them, and they will give you the address. The black brother said. How much? This is a key question. More than $1,000, less than $2,000, and it depends on the distance. They have to share this money with many people. And a little commission from me, you know, they won't accept this kind of order if they are not acquaintances. Deal. The uncle didn't care about spending a little more money for a better future. But you have to give me an invoice for $5,000. Anyway, I will find a way to use the official account when the time comes. You are from China. The black brother understood it all at once. What a country that makes people yearn for. The uncle already knew that he was not the first person to ruin the country's international image. It seems that the official consumption of the Great China has become famous in the United States. You know, that's the best. By the way, give me more of your invoices. Happy cooperation. The uncle was immediately happy. The black guy was suddenly possessed by a stick and was about to go crazy. After breakfast, Zhou and Zhang Ziyi went to the clothing store. They had to prepare a set of clothes. They drove with bodyguards to buy a set for the evening. After buying basic clothes, they went shopping or had something to eat, and then they could set off for their destination. First, they went to the high-end clothing production store of Carol Lagerfeld, the director of Channel, to help Zhang Ziyi choose a dress. Then they went to choose his clothes. If there was a suitable one, he would also get his own in there. The fashion emperor was called Lafayette, and even Zhou, a Chinese otaku, knew him. This was also thanks to novels. At least the American entertainment industry would write about such a person. Zhou knew that he still relied on novel authors. Zhou and his friends arrived at the clothing store. The two went in first, and the bodyguards would take care of the rest. When they came out of the car, Zhang Ziyi had been amused by Zhou. He told a few jokes that made her laugh all the way. You are such a poor kid. If that counts as a compliment, I'll accept it without hesitation. Zhao Jixi said with a shrug. The two of them got off and entered the store, and the paparazzi uncle and the black brother hurried over. Although bicycles have advantages over cars to a certain extent in big cities, it is not very strenuous to find a few people to run on several sections of the road separately. Unfortunately, the two of them had their own cars, so it would obviously be very strenuous to keep up. The paparazzi uncle didn't mind this, as he was already very lucky to know where they were. He took a few photos of the brand with the same name as the old Buddha. Because there were many tourists here who also took pictures with cameras, he openly didn't worry about the bodyguard's actions. Buying clothes, it's really leisurely. The uncle looked at him with envy and jealousy, and continued to do his own work. Hey, brother, should we continue to follow you? Are you going to keep taking pictures with your camera? Hey brother went to buy some food, and handed it to the paparazzi uncle. Thank you, $2. The uncle looked at him angrily, and then looked at the food he was holding. This face, which he thought was cute just now because he helped, suddenly became a little hateful. Don't you want it? Then I'll eat it myself. He pretended to take it away. Deal. The uncle said sensibly, is it interesting to make a profit from the difference of $1? This is just the reward after paying. My father told me to pay tips when I buy things. Do you think you can compare with him? The black brother didn't care what the paparazzi uncle said, but just took it for granted. Anyway, it's up to you to take it or not. Okay, you convinced me. He didn't think about the cultural differences, but this black guy actually used this to make money. The most hateful thing is that this can't be invoiced. It's a pity. In the clothing store, Zhang Ziyi changed into a black backless evening dress with a ring-shaped sling around the neck, connecting to the black skirt below. The line on the exposed back reached the waist, and the lower part and the buttocks outlined a sexy curve very well. The special feature is the narrow and tight hip design, which shows her hips very well. The perky hips look more perky and three-dimensional than being naked. The half-skirt design highlights the beautiful legs of women, and also shows a noble and cheerful personality. It is a very touching evening dress. There are no extra decorations on the clothes, but it is very pleasing to the eye. How about this one? Zhang Ziyi, who changed into high heels, asked in front of him with her beautiful hips and long legs. But, very good. Zhou Jixi swallowed his saliva, which was really a seductive and cold charm. Sister Zie, you are really beautiful. Very perfect, with some jewelry. You are definitely the most eye-catching one. He definitely didn't mean to lie this time. She was really beautiful, and he wanted to have sex with her just by looking at her. This is true. The little thing has rebelled in his pants. He felt uncomfortable when he stood up, so he could only sit calmly and pretend to appreciate it. Chapter 747 Cavalry. Jay Chou's own clothes are also in the eponymous store of Galeries Lafayette. The designs of this German fashion emperor are indeed bucco. Although they are not the most comfortable to wear, they can best highlight his beauty, shide, the beauty of men. Traditional but fashionable tight shoulders and narrow sleeves perfectly reflect the three-dimensional sense of his body. It just matches his watch worth $3 million, and the earrings are also black diamonds worth $130,000. He doesn't have many accessories, but they are very suitable for his temperament. Zhang Ziyi stood next to him, holding his arm. This beautiful picture, that looked like a pictorial, made him a little drunk. Sister Ziyi, you look very stylish. He praised sincerely, especially when standing with you. Zhang Ziyi took over his words with a smile. If she didn't say it, Jay Chou would have said it. Jay Chou shrugged his shoulders and said, haha. This is the real thing I want to talk about. Stinking. Zhang Ziyi took his hand and twisted his forearm. Zhou Jixi didn't mind the pain. It depends on who it is, right? I feel much more relaxed when I'm with Sister Ziyi. It's part of our nature. As he spoke, he took Zhang Ziyi's hand off with his right hand. Did he really think she wouldn't pinch it again? It's more reassuring to hold it in your hand. Hey, Sister Ziyi, is this red jadeite in your hand? Yes, my mother bought it at the old capital store. Zhang Ziyi liked this red jadeite very much. She took her hand off his hand, held the bracelet in her right hand, and showed it to him. Zhou Jixi looked at it carefully. It was indeed bucco, and it was already a nice type red jadeite. There were some flaws and fog on the edge, which were also covered up by the master's deep carving skills, and turned into a picture of auspicious birds. He robbed a lot of jadeite. No, he gained a lot of trophies, and he could already understand some simple things. It looks very nice. It is indeed an old item. Auntie has a good taste. If you like it, ask my mom to help you pick it out. Seeing the inexplicable look in his eyes, Zhang Ziyi thought he liked jade and wanted to get a pendant. Zhou Jixi looked at Zhang Ziyi and said with a smile, haha, I'm not being polite, Sister Ziyi. I recently did a business in Myanmar and got a lot of jade. I'll take you to my house tomorrow to have a look. If you like it, pick a piece and go back to carve some jewelry. Although he said it generously, he also knew that even if she agreed, she would not pick out too expensive items. Sometimes he didn't know what was wrong with him. He couldn't change his narrow-minded and stingy habits. It's just that he has a lot of money now, and he looks generous, but that's also for people. He can still afford a few tens of millions of Cheyenne Cheo coins. At most, he will spend less. For other people, he will inevitably calculate in his mind before saying something. Then I won't be polite. Zhang Ziyi didn't refuse. Going to Zhou Jixi's farm was already decided. Don't do that, Zhou Jixi said. The two chatted happily and tried on a few more sets of clothes. Zhou Jixi liked the third set of black and white clothes very much. After putting it on, he didn't plan to take it off. He wore it to the evening. Zhang Ziyi also chose the black open back evening dress. Zhou Jixi paid with a credit card, which cost more than $80,000. Thinking about it, it was really expensive. Two clothes were equivalent to the annual income of a middle-class person. It was still US dollars. Sometimes I really feel that this money is not so durable. The clerk ironed their original clothes before packing them up, and during this period, coffee and snacks were not interrupted. She followed you throughout the whole process of trying on clothes, keeping a distance that she would come when you need her, and you wouldn't find her annoying when you don't need her. The designer's assistant was still explaining to you the design concept of this dress and who else had bought it. During the period, some alteration services are also provided. If you know who has bought it before, at least you can guarantee that you will not wear the same clothes as others. In the ready-made clothing store, if you buy something more expensive, you will not be afraid of having the same clothes as others, because there will not be many people buying it, especially after knowing who has bought it before. Zhou Jixi and Zhang Ziyi were not stupid. They looked at a few more clothes after seeing the clothes. In particular, he also liked to look at some accessories. Although he didn't wear those things very much, it didn't stop him from buying them and taking them out to show off when he had time. Thank you for the clothes, Zhang Ziyi said in Zhou Jixi's ear as he walked out. No, don't be polite, Zhou Jixi said teasingly. I was just being polite for a while, but you really caught your breath. Zhang Ziyi walked away proudly without him opening the car door. Zhou Jixi laughed alone and followed him in. It was almost time, and the car drove steadily towards the venue. Sitting in the car, Zhou Jixi's hand touched Zhang Ziyi's hand from time to time, trying to see if he could hold it directly. Just looking out the window, unmoved. Just when he was about to grab it, this hateful little hand actually retreated. Damn it. The cyclists in San Francisco ride quite fast, Zhang Ziyi said, looking at the man in cyclist outfit outside the window. He also took a look and said, this person is really of poor quality. People say how awesome the Americans are, but in fact, they are just a little bit. They just brag a little bit. Compared with our great China, it's not that bad. You are not a Chinese anymore. What about us? Go away. Zhang Ziyi waved his hand and joked. Don't worry, I'm in the United States, but my heart is in China. Brother, I have infiltrated capitalist countries, and it is considered to be my contribution to them if I cause trouble for them. Zhou Jixi looked proud. Zhang Ziyi glanced at him and said, speak human language. Isn't what I said human language? Zhou Jixi was helpless. I was wrong. I was telling the truth. Zhang Ziyi also found it funny and laughed. I learned bad things from you. The bicycle outside the road was walking on the small path, and soon it ran in front of Zhou Jixi's car again, and then was overtaken by Zhou Jixi again. Walking on the small path in the city, at least the distance is shorter than him. Hey, bastard, you are speeding. Stop right now. The police brother riding the sports car shouted with a megaphone. The rider looked back and didn't make any international gestures. He first sped up and said, Annie, come and take over. I'm in the 6th block now. I'm being spotted by the black dog over there. You guys catch up now. Hold, we'll replan the route map. They can only take those few roads now. Don't worry, we promise to make the money and won't lose them. The female voice in the headset said reassuring words, and the man also turned back and stuck out his tongue to tease the police and sped up and turned into the small path immediately. He casually picked up the trash can next to him and made trouble for the black man behind him. Chapter 748 Politician. The policeman's bicycle was dodging with difficulty, and his hand movements were already unstable. If he braked at this time, he would definitely lose the person, but if he didn't brake, he would definitely fall down. Ah, fuck, these urban bandits. The knight breathed a sigh of relief, and then said to the headset, get rid of it. You didn't lose it, did you? No, we are still following, said the lady in the headset. In the car business, men have no national boundaries. Some just make money more conveniently. Zhao Zhen told the truth. Zhang Ziyi is mature and has no aversion to this. Everyone is not pure water, so there is no need to stand on the moral high ground to criticize others' choices. It's really a true statement. In fact, unconsciously, the matter of wanting to grab the little hand just now has diverted Zhang Ziyi several topics. Now he almost forgot about that matter and only remembered to chat with her. It passed while the two chatted, and the journey was the same. The car extended the 6-minute journey in the city to more than 20 minutes to arrive. The charity venue was held in an inner, without the top floor to enjoy. It seems that the scale of the event is not very large. The most important thing is that this place looks low-key, but it is not really low-key. The crowds of men and women holding signs at the door startled them. The signs held up had all kinds of words, and Zhou Jixi didn't even look at what they were opposing. There were even people who opposed a certain councillor's dog defecating in a certain place. Of course, this was Zhou Jixi's understanding. The original intention was that a certain councillor was not welcome in that area, even their dog. If they dared to defecate there, they would be detained and fined, so that he would have the guts to go and have a look. What are they doing? Are we going in? Zhang Ziyi was a little confused sitting in the car. This experience was really new. In the past, fans lined the streets to welcome us, but now it was citizens lining the streets to brag. Zhao Jixi sneered. Go in, why not? There are so many boring people protesting like this. If they protest, we won't be able to do it. Are you kidding me? As he said that, he clapped his hands to comfort her and felt that he could finally touch her little hand. It's okay. They are all protesting in a standard way. They won't do anything excessive. He said, I'll make a phone call first. Steve, I'm here. But it seems that this charity auction is quite popular today, isn't it? Zhao Jixi complained to the phone. Steve Jobs didn't mind Zhao Jixi's complaint. Instead, he explained, our congressman wants to be re-elected, but it seems that some of his voters don't like him anymore. Belen? Zhao Jixi remembered such a person. It seems that there is a Chinese branch in his district. Recently, they are discussing some intentions with him. This has been discussed at the California General Assembly. He listened in on the video conference. Shied, his constituency is about to close a factory with more than 300 people. Do you think his voters will be happy? Now the people in the union are taking the lead and planning not to let him have an easy life unless he solves the problem. Unfortunately, this has been a condition that has been given out for a long time. If his constituency does not close the factory, other constituencies must close it. If he wants the support of the party, he has to trade with others. Zhao Jixi was silent for a while. What a smart man, but those voters who chose him before are unlucky. After all, it's just a minority. Haha. Jobs didn't care about these. He didn't like to do charity. It was most practical to have the ability to create more jobs. But the necessary face still had to be done, even if people outside knew that he didn't do much charity. Baron doesn't look very good. If he wants to do something, he has to stabilize his voters. Zhao Jixi had some tentative meaning. He doesn't look so brainless. I hope he can think of a solution. Otherwise, today's incident will not only expand our influence, but also ruin his reputation. Jobs said. Zhao Jixi was silent for a moment, thinking about what he meant. Okay, let's do this first. I'll go in, and we can talk. Zhao Jixi saw that he had already wasted a lot of time and didn't plan to waste any more time in the car. Of course there is no Wenti. You are welcome anytime. Jobs said. He still owed Zhao Jixi a few favors, some big and some small. He paid them back and owed them again. Now it seems that he has to pay them back a little. Zhang Ziyi sat next to him and didn't comment on these topics. She tried to avoid these things as much as possible, so as not to say the wrong thing, and it would not be a pleasant thing. Zhao Jixi smiled at her. No Wenti, just a trouble caused by one of the guests. Small things, I can solve it right away, and by the way, it would be best if he owed me a favor. Are you sure? Zhang Ziyi asked about the latter matter. I'm not sure either, but at least it will definitely not be a bad thing. Maybe it can even give me some advertising. As he said that, he called Baozi Wang again and asked them to prepare food for about 100 people and send it to where he is now. As for the money, he will pay. Baozi Wang's management didn't know anything about this, but the publicity staff did notice something. Baozi Wang originally had fewer stores than mobile food trucks, so it was very advantageous to request delivery. With the internet, mobile food trucks can always be in the places with the most people, and they sell much faster than stores. Recently, Baozi Wang received news that other fast food restaurants also planned to try this. They had it before, but they didn't have large-scale online and offline activities like Baozi Wang. The paparazzi uncle had to thank these citizens and journalists. Although they were all journalists, these people were obviously more noble. Even if they had no moral integrity, at least the pages they were responsible for were much more advanced in politics and economy than his entertainment page. After getting off the car, the paparazzi looked at everything in amazement, and he was really amazed at every step he took. Compared with fans picking up at the airport or going to see celebrities, this was really the first time he had personally attended such a scene. This experience was definitely the first time in his life. I just wanted to tell you that I'm not going to do this any longer. I can't do it anymore. 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 Chapter 749. What's holding you against me? Are you from a Chinese newspaper? Don't you know you have to line up? Don't squeeze in front of me. A white reporter wanted to pull the uncle away, but even if the uncle didn't have the body of a soldier before, his big belly was not something the white man could resist. And he really thought he was a rookie. Only rookies believe that interviews need to be arranged in a first come first served manner with other reporters. In this kind of thing, only those who can take pictures are good reporters. No matter what you do during the period, the boss will only praise you. The uncle put down the camera and said to the reporter toughly, "Do you want to have a boxing match with me here? Well, as long as you dare to touch me, believe it or not, I will ask you to go to the police station with me, and then the boss who waited for your news but got nothing will be angry and fire you in the end. Okay, you win, buddy." The white man let go of his hand and injured the crowd. Although it was a bit uncomfortable, fortunately, the reporters were used to it, even the political reporters. The paparazzi uncle did not continue to provoke. It is a smart person to show his toughness appropriately and know how to restrain himself. He picked up the camera and started taking pictures of the car. He didn't expect that this man was really beyond his expectations. He was probably a member of the upper class of the American Empire. He seemed to be much better than the short Jewish man. But compared with Zhang's ex-boyfriend, the Huo family, he was probably still a lot worse. Thinking about these things in his mind, he also wanted to think of a title for the next report. Only by attracting the attention of the gossiping people can he get the benefits he needs. Zhou Jixi finally made a phone call and confirmed that the people from the Chinese United Association were also inside. He asked him to pass on a few words to the people before he smiled. The bodyguards came down from the back first. He was very proud of himself for liking to bring bodyguards when he went out. Look, it's time to use them. Although these people will abide by the rules and not step into private territory, it is still possible to throw something in. Zhou Jixi never believed that the Western gangsters here can have such good qualities. Let's go. He got out of the car and the bodyguard helped him open the door. He waited outside for Zhang Ziyi and took her out like a gentleman. The paparazzi uncle has already clicked the shutter. He doesn't know how long JC Chow will stay, so he has to hurry. When Jobs received the call, he planned to go out to see his little brother. This is also a clear support for his people. He has to give people some warmth so that people know that he remembers his kindness. Helen is here today. American families always attend such activities together. She plans to go with him to see JC Chow. This man has helped her husband with many things. As a wife, she has to express her gratitude. Mr. Bellin, what are you doing? Councilman Bellin beside Helen also followed. Mr. Jess Chow, right. He was still thinking that JC Chow didn't seem to do anything for his constituency and immediately changed his words. Mr. Chow has made a lot of contributions to the ethnic rights issues in California. I also want to get to know him. Just now, someone from the Chinese American Federation told him that JC Chow might be able to help him solve some problems outside, even if it was only temporary. Then let's go together. Mr. Bellin. Helen is softer and more resourceful in socializing than her husband. Of course, this does not mean that Jobs is worse than her, but the division of labor is different. Jobs' personality does not allow him to do some things, and his wife is more suitable to do them. The three of them greeted the security outside the venue before walking out. When Jobs went outside, he deliberately kept a little distance from Bellin to avoid being caught in the crossfire. Helen saw Jay Chow walking a few steps and hugged him first. Hi, Jess, you look so handsome today. Jay Chow kissed her politely and said, "Thank you for your compliment, Helen. I spent several hours in the clothing store to get it done. It looks like it is really worth my time. Steven, you look much better, man." Jay Chow looked at Jobs. "You still need to eat more. You look too thin." I have an ancient Chinese medicinal recipe that is very suitable for people who are sick. You can actually try it. After using the essence you gave me, I feel much better recently. I have to thank you, Jess. I'm also a shareholder of Apple. Only if you are healthy can you guarantee stability, right? He said with a smile. It seems that I still enjoy a high status in your mind. Jobs said with a strange look. Jay Chou shrugged his shoulders. But I believe that the earth can turn without anyone, and the same is true for Apple. This is the success of a team, not one person. I think your Sky Games company should be able to explain this sentence better. Jobs said modestly, and even used Jay Chou's company as an example, which seemed to be meaningful. Isn't this old man preparing for death? Now you are giving him a vaccination? Jay Chou thought to himself. Jobs really wanted to stabilize Jay Chou. He was afraid that as long as there was a big problem with his health, Jay Chou's team would definitely do anything. Selling Apple stocks and making money would be easy. The most important thing is that there are quite a few people in the company who share the same interests as them. It is obviously not easy for Cooper to gain their trust. Zhou Jixi played a chemical role in this. Shareholders like Ale will also make decisions based on the situation, but they don't know which direction Apple will be taken. That makes sense. Zhou Jixi looked like he was thinking, which seemed a bit veiled to Jobs. The conversation between the three also gave Zhang Ziyi time to think about who this man was. Steve Jobs, the founder of the multinational company Apple. After she calmed down from her surprise, she looked at Zhou Jixi with a surprised look. This man was not as simple as she thought. The paparazzi uncle in the distance was so excited that he was about to get hard. No, it was already hard. The white reporter in front looked back at him with an unhappy face and said, "Hey, man, what's your thing hitting me?" The paparazzi uncle wanted to tell him, "Fuck, what's wrong with my dick hitting you? Do you want me to blow your ass? Fuck you, shut up." Of course, he just thought about it. "Sorry, it's my flashlight. I'll take it away right away." The uncle could only pretend to reach in to get something, but he actually stuck his butt out as much as possible to squeeze the person behind him. Male homosexuality is also illegal in the United States, unlike China, which has no laws in this regard. A man being anally raped is just a civil matter, not a criminal offense. In the United States, if you dare to do this, especially in San Francisco, a famous gay city, it has long been written into the law. Chapter 750, The United States is not as good as imagined. After putting away his brother, the paparazzi took the camera and quickly pressed the shutter. While the man Zhang Ziyi and others were still with Jobs, he quickly took more photos so that he could make a better choice in the future. Damn it, it's really big news. Big news. The international Zhang is really shaking this time, but the more it is like this, I don't know how long they will be together. This scene should not end so early. The paparazzi uncle was still worried about the future meal ticket. Jay Chou introduced Zhang Ziyi to Jobs and Helen. Helen was not surprised at all that the girl next to him was no longer the girl from the Hilton family. This is what young people do. Breaking up and getting back together is too easy for them. They still greeted Zhang Ziyi enthusiastically. Anyway, her label is just Jay Chou's female companion. At least when introducing, he did not say that this woman was his girlfriend. This is enough to explain a lot of things. Compared with other wealthy people who want to get married, Jay Chou is obviously smarter. He is very careful even when making girlfriends. Most of them seem to be just female companions. Zhang Ziyi used her acting skills over the years to avoid losing her composure in such an occasion. Even though this scene was enough to make her brain short circuit, she still responded in the best way, showing a beautiful smile and giving the couple a decent image. As Belen approached, several people had to stop chatting. Wherever he went, there was a booing, and from time to time there was shouting and cursing. It was really pleasant to the ears. The shouting and cursing of the American people really didn't have much quality. In particular, Zhou Jixi also observed that there were only a few words repeated over and over again, lacking creativity. "Hello, Mr. Belen. It's nice to meet you, but you look a little troublesome." Zhou Jixi shook hands with the congressman and said in his ear, "Indeed." The congressman saw the situation clearly and made it clear that he owed him a favor. This was still a fact, and it was impossible not to owe him a favor. Okay, I just ordered more than 100 Baozi meals. You just need to write a check and show your usual state. I don't think those union presidents can control a bunch of useless workers under them. Haha. He smiled and said, remember to look good when you hand out things. This will give you a good layout tomorrow. Belen understood it all at once. As long as they eat the things he sent, he will be able to resolve the matter today in an instant. Although the trouble at the factory has not been solved yet, at least this level has been passed. I understand. This is indeed a good suggestion. Thank you, Mr. Zhou. I only realized at this moment that you are a good consultant for the California governor candidate. It depends on who you serve. Zhao Jixi said at the right time, clearly telling him that his brother's worth is not low. Do you really think he can give advice to cats and dogs? Oh, there is one more thing. If possible, remember to show the picture of Baozi Wang when taking pictures. Zhao Jixi patted his right arm and said, of course, the set meal that brings warmth to the people. Baozi Wang is definitely the most delicious food in the eyes of these hungry people at this moment. Belem said. Traitor Belem, you fox. A fat man shouted loudly, and he was indeed loud enough, and the people who were cursing with a loudspeaker not far away were already outshone by him. If possible, Zhao Jixi really wanted to stuff a piece of bun into his mouth to block it, and by the way, draw a Baozi Wang icon in front of the blocked bun, which is also a good thing to attract people's attention. Well, Zhao Jixi had to say that the cursing next to him did affect the quality of their conversation, especially when he saw Jobs and Helen's slightly frowning foreheads, and even Zhang Ziyi was the same. He knew that he couldn't watch the show outside. It's your time left, buddy. It seems that I need to accompany our friends in first. I'm optimistic about you. Zhao Jixi said at last. Belem smiled very American, showing his 2 rows of teeth, and started his new show. The bodyguard stood next to several people, and his tall figure isolated this section of the road very well. Jay Chou was very close to Jobs. He is indeed a good choice, but not necessary, he said. For Chinese Americans, this person is a good choice. Jay Chou simply said one sentence and nothing more. Jobs did not participate in ethnic affairs. He just needed these politicians in business, so he did not comment on this. Then congratulations. Thank you. This is worth a drink. I have to see what our congressman can give. It is really something worth looking forward to. Haha. He smiled a little proudly and arrogantly. A small fish can still splash waves. Jobs said a slang. Jay Chou did not understand it very well, but he still understood the literal meaning. The 4 people walked into the venue. The people inside were not affected by the protesters outside at all. They were still talking loudly, or eating desserts with smiles, and drinking champagne and red wine brought by the waiter. They lived in the United States, and had long been accustomed to gatherings. When a group of protesters outside held signs and shouted, they could still smile, and eat their own food and chat about their own things. The more capable ones can also take advantage of the gap, to make an appointment with a man or woman, to have a passionate fast food somewhere. There are many different kinds of people, and Zhao Jixi has a little understanding of it at this moment. The people outside the free country who are about to lose their jobs are holding signs here, hoping to keep their jobs that have been traded long ago. And the people inside are doing activities called charity, as if they don't exist. This is the so-called free country, the United States, which is really a land full of dreams and blood. Life is sometimes more ironic than novels or movies. Zhao Jixi tightened his arms around Zhang Ziyi and asked, do you feel strange? Because her expression was a little bad. I'm a little uncomfortable, just a little bit. This is completely different from the activities I participated in before. Although there are protests over there, I feel that there are many things different from these people, but I can't say what they are specifically. Zhang Ziyi said tangled. People probably went there because they were bored. If there was such a fun activity as protesting, of course they had to make some legal noises. Jay Chou took the champagne handed over by the waiter and gave her a glass as well. As for this one, even if they don't protest, the bank bills will force them to pay. If this goes on, their lives will be in trouble. Jobs also helped Helen get a glass of champagne. He didn't refute or explain what Jay Chou said. Chapter 751, Role Model. There is no extravagant environment. After all, the theme is charity. but it still has a high-end atmosphere. The most common thing is the high ceiling in the venue, which says goodbye to the word ordinary. The yellowish chandelier light can illuminate the entire venue. The well-dressed men and women, even if the venue is not extravagant, are also a kind of alternative luxury under their expensive clothes. Zhou came in and attracted many people's eyes. His reputation in Northern California is a little bigger. If you counted one level at a time, the smaller the region, the greater his fame and influence. In the United States, you can't expect to be famous all over the country. The president can't make all the people in the continent like him. Zhou wants to be a leader of Asian Americans in California, or one of them. This thing will take time to become unique. Fortunately, he is young and has ideas. He has the same ideas as the current generations of Chinese and Asian Americans, and he also has the support of the older generation. The advantage is obvious, isn't it? Zhou is most involved in ethnic affairs, which is what Chinese Americans or ethnic leaders in the United States will do. Gather a group of ethnic groups around you, help each other, and expand each other's influence. The Jewish group is the best example in front of everyone, and the influence is so great that it helps their ethnic group build a country. Zhou does not have such big ambitions as other Chinese Americans. He just wants Asian Americans or Chinese Americans to become an existence that American politicians and even the president should pay enough attention to, and to get some implicit clauses under routine laws. Black people look good. When making a movie, they must stipulate that they must be included in it, indicating that they are an indispensable part of the United States of America. Even if these people are actually mostly people from the lower class. Chinese Americans have advantages. At least most Chinese Americans in the United States are middle class. There are also many Chinese wealthy people in Forbes, which are more advantageous than other ethnic groups. The main reason is that the predecessors kept a distance from politics, which caused Chinese Americans to suffer a lot. Now the times are different. If you want to gain enough voice in this immigrant continent, you must have enough congressmen and senators belonging to their camp. In this regard, Zhou did a good job, and the Hawaii Federation did a good job as well. With appropriate favors, you can also get the support of the Asian Alliance. In Congress and the Senate, Chinese congressmen with sufficient backstage support have received enough attention from people from other parties and have been upgraded to a high-level minority party, which also makes the people of the Chinese Federation feel gratified. In the exchange of interests, you can also get more. The first to come were the people of the Chinese Federation and the congressmen from the Chinese Party in California. Zhou communicated with these people, in turn to build relationships, and he did not feel hypocritical or bored. This kind of hard work for the general environment made him feel a sense of history, even if it was actually just for better use of politics. Having drunk 2 glasses of champagne, Jobs also understood Zhou's current busyness, and said hello, and talked about other things with others first. And Zhang Ziyi was still beside him, and did not leave with Helen. Even if he didn't like their topic very much, at least he drank champagne with a smile on his face. Hello, Mr. Wu and Mrs. Wu. Zhou greeted the couple who had just come up. Wu Guoqing is a US congressman, and Mrs. Wu is Judy Chu, a US congressman from California. They are not two people. They are both active in Chinese politics, and their relatives are also politicians. A political family with some achievements, all of which are enough for Zhou to pay attention to them. I wonder how busy Mr. Zhou's experiment has been recently. Last time we held a cocktail party, I felt very sorry that I didn't see Mr. Zhou. Wu Guoqing said to him. That's a pity. Zhou talked about the latter question first, showing his importance to his words. The experiment has come to an end. Maybe this Christmas, you will be able to taste the truffles I planted. We are looking forward to it. The two said one after another. Mrs. Wu, we, the Chinese American Federation of California and the Asian American Alliance of California, will fully support you for your efforts on the Chinese Exclusion Act. Your support in California on this point will definitely exceed your imagination. Zhou said formally. Judy Chu held Zhou's hand and said excitedly, Thank you for your support. The Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 was originally a sad thing. It was a contempt for the Constitution. Wu Guoqing seemed to comfort his wife, and he put his right hand around his wife's shoulders to support her. We Chinese have suffered humiliation and injustice. I will do my best to propose to Congress to apologize to the Chinese for the law that discriminated against Chinese people passed by the US Congress in 1882. The Chinese Exclusion Act passed by Congress was aimed at a specific ethnic group, which brought great humiliation and harm to the Chinese, and had far-reaching impact. As a culturally diverse country, the United States should apologize for its actions back then. Judy Chu's words were very routine, and her language expression was also very skillful. Zhou Jixi, a realistic guy, was a little excited when he heard it. Of course, his expression had to be a little excited, even if that little thing had nothing to do with him at all. It was just a relationship with the Chinese, and the rest was what the older generation asked him to say. Yes, Mrs. Wu, you said it very well. We Chinese must transcend regional restrictions and unite Asian forces. Only then can the status of Asians in mainstream American society be improved. I have always emphasized that Asians should get rid of political apathy, actively participate in politics and elections. Only in this way can they enjoy fair treatment in various issues such as immigration, education, and healthcare. Zhou Jixi had a lot to talk about on this topic. He often said this to the old predecessors who supported him. He also said it to the Chinese and Asians who followed him. It's just plain talk. It doesn't cost money to say it. The price of saliva is not as high as that of purified water, even the saliva of beautiful women. The Chinese and Asians who gathered around nodded in agreement with the conversation between the two from time to time. They also showed excited expressions. Chinese and Asians have never been alone. In fact, they have finally ignored the national headquarters of the Chinese American Federation. Okay, everyone can talk about this matter when they are free. As for when they are free, it depends on how much benefit it will bring. Zhang Ziyi has overturned the perception of Jie Chao. He started out as a landlord, then became a member of the board of directors of a multinational company, then the boss of an internet company, and the CEO of an investment company. Now he has become a fighter for the rights of Chinese Americans, influencing American politics. To put it bluntly, it is an open collusion between officials and businessmen, funding politicians, and seeking seemingly legal interests. Chapter 752. Getting to know and making an offer to the warriors. After dealing with this group of people, Zhou Jixi took Zhang Ziyi to talk to Jobs. There are also Chinese people in the circle over there. Zhou Jixi sighed that there are really many Chinese people in the United States, especially in the upper class. You can always see them. But the man still surprised him. Even he knew such a person. In his previous life, the internet had reported his news for a while. US Secretary of Commerce Gary Locke will be the US ambassador to China in the future. He said the first half of this sentence and digested the second half directly in his mind. Zhou Jixi walked over. Jobs greeted him first, and then took him to meet people. Hello, Mr. Locke. I didn't expect to meet you here. It's an honor. He took the lead and greeted politely. Gary Locke was very interested in this young Chinese introduced by Jobs. He had learned about the dynamics of Chinese in California, and he was even more familiar with the California Democratic Party candidate that this person invested in and supported. That's why he was interested in this young man. He is a wealthy Chinese who actively supports Chinese people in politics. He has a high influence in California, especially in Northern California, which can be seen from the recent opinion poll report of the candidate he supports. Mr. Brown. Jess Zhao, nice to meet you. Locke's slightly white hair gives him a more calm temperament. The games you make are great. Our family plays them happily and likes them very much. Zhou Jixi immediately smiled. Haha. Bringing happiness to people is my original intention for making games. I'm very happy to hear a user say this to me today. My child has always wanted a hoodie signed by you. I wonder if I'm being presumptuous. Looking at the yellow skin and black hair, Luo Jia, who actually received more American education, and his behavior and speech consciousness are not much different from those of Americans. Of course not. I will ask the company to mail you a copy. This is not a lottery, but a gift from me personally. Zhou Jixi said that as his creative games were ranked at the top of the download list, he also gathered a lot of fans. These people will like the game peripherals he created, and his achievements have also attracted the admiration and pursuit of many fans. so his signature is still very valuable in the eyes of his admirers. The company has also held a lucky draw for this, and it is estimated that Gary Loke's son did not win. Thank you so much, Gary Loke said with a smile on his face. Americans like to show family harmony, and parents are very responsible for their children. Even if they do a little thing for their children, they will think it will be very good for their children's future. And others will also help others to achieve their goals within their power. It has nothing to do with other things. At least they want to keep a piece of beauty in their hearts. It's just a small thing. Zhang Ziyi was still thinking about what position the US Secretary of Commerce is equivalent to in China. After hearing the conversation between the two and the fatherly love he showed, he was also surprised by this and looked at Gary Loke with a little admiration. This is Miss Zhang from China. It's nice to meet you, Gary Loke said with a hand out. I have seen the movie you acted in. It is very amazing. It has brought me more knowledge about China and is also a good memory for me. Thank you for your compliment. I have more admiration for Mr. Loke. As a father, you are really great. Your wife must feel very happy to have a husband like you. Zhang Ziyi shook hands with him and said, sometimes she feels annoyed that I don't take the dog for a walk. Gary Loke said with a little depression. The humorous tone made everyone present laugh. Some words spoken by people of different identities brought different jokes. Zhang Ziyi met a lot of people again, and there were many tycoons often seen in the news. The circle she had contacted before was like two versions, and it looked much more high-end. Jay Chou then talked to Jobs again. The two talked about a lot of things. Helen took Zhang Ziyi to meet some women to increase the topic. There were really many people Jay Chou knew in the venue. Ivan Trump from New York State, and Chris Hanko, the owner of the San Francisco Warriors. The old man has made up his mind to sell the team. He has recently received the documents sent by the old man, and Alina has also entered the bidding process. Jay Chou walked over to see if he could reach a consensus. He also knew the owner of the Kings, and he had some exchanges with the Lakers and Clippers. He believed that, if he wanted to enter the NBA, the board of directors would probably not reject him. The most important thing is that the old man Hanko really wants to ask for a high price. The $400 million is the external offer. He will never accept this price, and it is impossible to settle with him in cash. Using stocks plus cash may be a good choice. The two met and chatted in a friendly manner at first. The old guy looked so recently and a little tired. It is estimated that he has annoyed the fans enough. Jess, the $400 million I quoted will definitely bring us a lot of income. Chris Hanko said to him earnestly, if he knew the word. Chris, you know what I mean. Keep it simple. No one will accept this price, and I can't accept it. Now the troubled guy in the Clippers is also planning to sell it. That's Los Angeles. And the Warriors are nestling in Oakland. Which one do you think I will like? Zhao Jixi said sarcastically. Chris was not angry. That was an immature performance. Businessmen don't get angry with people, but talk about interests with people. The Mets are indeed more influential, but you can consider moving to San Francisco. With your influence, I think it's not a problem to move there. What you want is influence, and I want to sell the team for a good price to support my retirement. Jess, $400 million minus your 20%. I'll take a step back. $300 million. I'm already very generous, man. Chris said with an expression of I understand you. Jay Chou was unmoved. The two of them were talking about intentions, which was equivalent to an internal transaction. He only bought Chris Cohan's shares. He remembered that in his previous life, the Warriors seemed to be sold for more than $400 million. God knows that at the beginning, the price in the old man's mind was actually more than $300 million. It was just that, after handing it over to the sports sales company, the group of people raised the price even higher. If it was sold to the CEO of Oracle, the transaction price might be higher, but Cohan still felt that it was a little better to sell it to a friend. As for what kind of transaction was in the middle, Jay Chou had no way of knowing. My advisory team has calculated, and the appropriate offer is $330 million. I think this price is reasonable. Zhao Jixi looked at him with a serious expression. I like to be direct. Chris, you can think about it carefully. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 753, Vampire Hunter. The news he got was that because Chorus's Kohan held part of the shares, he was not as free as in his previous life to decide whether to sell the warriors. For this, Zhou really had to thank Old Man Bud for leaving the shares to him. Now he didn't know where the two were buried, and he couldn't even go to worship. Chris had decided to sell the warriors, which was an established fact, and Zhou didn't want to spend too much money to buy it. And Chris Kohan knew that Zhou wanted to buy it, so how to weigh the pros and cons was indeed not an easy thing for the two to solve. No, I think that 270 million is too little for my shares. I can't accept your offer, Jess. I want to sell it. Don't say, but the Warriors are a big burden, Chris. They have only entered the playoffs once in 16 seasons. I can tell from the annual financial report that they must be losing money without even looking at it. It is definitely not a big toy that can balance income and expenditure. Chris, we have something in common. You can sell it to me. This is definitely the best thing you can do for the Warriors, Zhou said slowly and kindly, analyzing with him what his move-in would bring and what others would bring. Okay, you beat Jess. I will consider your price, but it is definitely not, because it is only worth that price. You have to ask your team to talk to me. I believe that, as long as you are more straightforward, it will be solved soon. Man, you can imagine that the time you sit in the Warriors owner's box is so close. And this will cost me tens of millions of dollars more. I'm not a person who likes to buy time with money. And I can do it now. I'm the owner of the Warriors. Zhou replied unceremoniously. I have an advantage that others don't have, Chris. I think it will be good for both you and me if you sell him out earlier. Chris Kohan is not someone that can be fooled by a few words from Zhou. He raised his glass and smiled at him. Zhou wanted to say, fuck you. I like to laugh, so you should learn from me. Fuck. It's not that simple, young man. We still have to talk seriously, but it obviously won't be today, he said after raising his glass with a slightly proud look on his face. He also had some confidence in his heart. At least he had found out Zhou's price. He was not in a hurry. He might raise the price a little bit when he talked about it. $300 million was indeed his price. Zhou smiled a little disappointedly, raised his glass and said, okay, Chris, let's talk at another time. After the two of them talked for a while, Zhou left this place. He just wanted to give this old man some information. Otherwise, he would not be at ease. The money lost in the internal transaction is much more cost effective than throwing it into the capital market. The transaction price in the previous life was $450 million, and now including his shares, it is actually only more than $360 million, saving nearly $100 million, and he is confident that he can negotiate a little lower at this price. At this time, he holds 20% of the Warriors shares, which is the best thing. It is impossible for Chris Hank to sell the team without him. Many wealthy people like to own a team as a group, rather than sharing it with others. Some like to own it alone, and turning it into a private property is more in line with the personality of the wealthy, just like the CEO of Oracle. If he wants to buy it, he can't keep Zhou, the small boss. If Chris wants to talk to him, Zhou can only say haha. The cocktail party is necessary, but the charity auction is indispensable. Zhou, Jobs, Apple shareholders, and even Gary Loke were all standing in one area. Everyone was talking and laughing while toasting, or raising their hands, to take pictures of something. Zhou would raise his hand from time to time to bid, but he didn't force it. If it was his, no one would bid for it, so he didn't mind taking the picture. If it wasn't his, he didn't mind either. You want to buy the Warriors? Jobs was looking at the host on the stage beside him, but he said to him, yes, I like sports. When I was in China, I wanted to play in the NBA. Now that I'm in the United States, it's a pity that I can't play, but buying a team would be a good choice. Zhou also looked at the people on the stage and explained simply. The people around him could only look at Zhou's big spending with envy. Zhang Ziyi was so surprised that he was numb. The time Zhou just spent talking to that old man was actually about something worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Oh my god. Is this the so-called Forbes rich man? At this moment, the Jewish shorty had to stay away compared to Hong Kong's Huo-Aon Zhao Jixi. Looking at the figure of this man, she suddenly wanted to see something called domineering. She quickly shook her head and got rid of the absurd idea. It's really an idea, but it's also very enviable. Jobs really envied his youth and passion. If your tomcat wants to raise funds, remember to call me. His words instantly attracted the attention of a group of people, and they immediately thought that Zhao Jixi might not have so much money. Sky Games looked like it was impossible for him to raise funds. The company was now a money printing machine, and did not need to expand at all. As long as Zhao Jixi did not withdraw the profits he earned every day, he had strong development potential. However, Zhao Jixi's Tomcat's recent series of actions made these people think of some problems. Knowing that Zhao Jixi wanted to buy a team, things were about to come out. He wanted to exchange part of Tomcat's shares for cash, which was a very good project. Don't look at the current market value of more than $1 billion US. As long as the number of users increases, its value may double, and double again at any time. It can reach a value of tens of billions of US dollars in an instant. There are examples. Just like speculating in stocks, Tomcat is a concept stock. They can sell the appreciated shares in the secondary market. The recipients are those who believe that it will continue to grow. Just like Facebook now, even if its value increases to more than 70 billion in the future, there are still people who believe that it will be worth 100 billion. The overvaluation made a group of people make a lot of money in the secondary market before listing. In the end, it was only worth 50 billion US dollars when it was listed. Fortunately, this price is floating, which can be regarded as pitting a group of people, but also making a group of people make a lot of money. Twitter is no exception. Now there are people operating it in the secondary market, which really makes some people make money. And Tomcat, which seems to have more potential than Twitter, also wants to be the first batch of financing. Chapter 754 Auction. Yes, but its value is not enough. After my new profit plan comes out, the user growth will come again. After these 2 points are achieved, it is the most suitable time for financing. Zhao Jixi said with confidence, it has this potential. The Tomcat I want will not only have this value, it has greater potential than Twitter, and there are children users that merchants like. This is a market potential that Twitter cannot match. We have stronger advertising. Jess, I have to say that you are a smart vampire. No, it should be a vampire hunter. Catch those greedy vampires and suck their blood. An Apple shareholder looked at Zhao Jixi and said with emotion. And this sentence was also agreed by many people around. After Zhao Jixi's 2 preparations, the value of Tomcat will increase a lot at once. But it will still attract many investors to flock in. I like this name, Vampire Hunter. It feels very magical. Zhao Jixi said with a smile, very happy to get this cheesing nickname. Maybe this is what he wants, that is, to make more money. I finally understand why Mark said that it is the best result and the smartest decision for you not to be the decision maker of Tomcat, even if it was created by you. Jobs moved his eyes down from the stage and looked at him. You are more like a businessman, a person who turns dreams into money. This is better than Mark and I, and much more rational. If this is a compliment, I will feel very happy. Zhao Jixi thought about his words and said in a humorous tone. In his heart, he also complained about Jobs. It seems that you are not a good person. Now you are still talking to me about dreams and money. Don't say that you have never sold apples before and you were kicked out. Is it possible that it is a personality problem? It's just that, seeing that you are sick for apple and I for apple, you are indeed a qualified dreamer. Zhao Jixi can only regard this as a compliment, and maybe there is also irony. After all, he doesn't value the things he designed very much. He can decide to sell it for money and buy the toys he likes more. The people around him did not back down. There were indeed vampires who wanted to pounce on Zhao Jixi and suck his blood because they believed that they would get more from the pigs below, just like taking turns holding a bomb. If they threw it at the right time, They would definitely not hurt themselves. After a while, I promise, we are all friends, right? Haha. I will definitely discuss financing with you first. Zhou used some time to make some promises to the shareholders around him that he himself did not believe. Obviously, the person who can offer a higher price in the future is the one he wants. If the price is enough to make him excited, he would not mind selling Tomcat directly. Even if someone makes it bigger to a market value of tens of billions in the future, it has nothing to do with him who wants to exchange for more cash now. During this gap, Jobs took a picture of an item, which was a very good earring, very beautiful. Helen smiled happily beside him. It seems that he said he would give it to her when he took the picture. Zhou also looked to see if there was anything else he liked. If not, he would take a picture. It's just a matter of tens of thousands of dollars. You don't need to spend millions of dollars for such a party. $100,000 is already very impressive. Most people spend a few $1,000s. I have never seen people showing off their wealth in such occasions. This is an antique box. It is said to be a private box of a pirate, but the details are unknown. The auctioneer on the stage was holding a box and introducing it to everyone. Zhou didn't listen carefully. He just said 2 sentences to Zhang Ziyi. The starting price is $5,000. Bidding starts now, said the auctioneer. When Zhou looked back, everyone had already started bidding. He looked at this box with copper nails and felt that it was okay. As for the pirates in front, who cares about it? Just buy it back and talk about it. He hasn't bought anything today, so he has to bid 1 or 2 to be meaningful. $10,000. He raised his hand and said directly, in this case, if there are no people who like this box, most people will not bid again. He doubled the price, and the meaning is already very clear. $10,000 once, $10,000 twice, $11,000. A man seemed to be interested and tentatively quoted a price. $12,000. Zhou only added a little to show that he would not give up. He had already given up enough times before, and this time he wanted to take the bid and give an explanation. Everyone also saw his intention, so they didn't argue with him. $12,000 once, $12,000 twice. The man looked at the stage with a little reluctance. It would be really boring if he paid money for fun. $10,000 3 times. Deal. The auctioneer hammered down the hammer and extended his right hand to congratulate Zhou. Congratulations, sir. Zhou also smiled and raised his glass to indicate, and many people who knew him looked at him or smiled. The auction continued, and the staff packed the box and brought it to him. He handed them the check he had already written, and the staff thanked him for his contribution to charity. After the staff left, he just looked at the packed box. At least the packaging was good. They still had to spend this little money in the province. After taking a look, he didn't pay any attention to it. This thing was just for show. The auction continued. He also offered some prices, but some were bought and some were not. The pace of charity auctions was quite fast, unlike the formal auctions, which dragged on and on, just to give those people time to think and make the final effort. At the end of the auctioneer bid on the donations made by the on-site staff. Some of them were in the hope that the auction amount would reach a certain level. Some just wanted to donate some money. The purpose was different, but there were different processes. There was also a proposal on the spot. A 40-year-old uncle handed over a box. The auctioneer polished the lines he gave and said that this was a wedding ring prepared by a man for a woman. He was confident to bid it back, just like he was confident to propose today. The auction process was very fast, and everyone cooperated very well. The man used a very memorable number to bid on the ring, spending more than 100,000 yuan. At this time, he still had to thank his girlfriend who he met in January. If this happened in November or December, the loss would be huge. After the man took the photo of the ring, he knelt down to propose to the woman. He said a touching speech, and the woman covered her mouth and shed 2 lines of happy tears. Jay Chou and everyone in the venue applauded and blessed the old and new couple. They were already 40 years old and found each other at this age. Just like the saying, it's not that I met you at the best age, but that meeting you is my best age. Chapter 755. The Enviable Rich People. After the auction, there was a cocktail party. Zhou specially communicated with several NBA team owners who came here. The old guys were surprised that such a young man entered the ranks of NBA owners. In addition, his Chinese identity might bring more topics to the league. There was no conflict of interest among the few people, and they did not oppose him to enter the NBA. After Zhou received a good response, he felt much more relaxed. For other team owners who need public relations, he had to ask Alina to make a list, and he or his agent had to greet them. At least people had to know that Zhou was going to dominate a team. It was much quieter outside now. Councilman Belem had sent the protesters back and established an image of caring for the people in front of the camera. Of course, he also helped Zhou to prepare the Baozi Wang advertisement. When he was interviewed, he deliberately held the Baozi Wang, looking like he shared the sufferings of the people. In fact, it was to let this guy be on camera. At the end, he had to take a bite and praise the taste. He also asked the protesters in a friendly way. The three executives of Baozi Wang read this news report. I really have to admire the boss. This kind of event can be advertised. And the congressman, I don't know what benefits he gave. The advertising slogan is really good. The protesters are the same. It feels like eating not buns but happiness. Yes, this can be used as an advertising slogan. Baozi Wang, you are not just eating buns, but also a kind of family happiness. Baozi Wang, you can eat happiness. When you are tired and hungry, have a Baozi Wang to restore your physical strength and feel happiness. If you want to protest for a long time, have a Baozi Wang. Baozi Wang, you deserve happiness. The above advertising slogans made several people even happier. They couldn't help but eat a bun themselves. It is indeed a green product. They are also relieved to eat it themselves, and it tastes really good. It was already evening when it ended, and Zhou rejected several invitations. Finally, he walked out of the door with Chris Kohan. The old man had just seen him communicate with other team owners who came here, and knew that this guy really wanted to buy out his shares. Zhang Ziyi followed him, and casually talked to the old man's female companion. He didn't interrupt the conversation between the two men. Chris, I can pay in installments. As long as you also have 2 years, I can give you all the money. In the first year, I will give you $100 million directly. Before the end of the second year, I promise to give you all the money. Bank of America can guarantee me. Come on, Jess, as long as you want, you can immediately borrow $300 million from the bank. With your credit, those stocks and your company, this is not a problem at all. Over 10 million interest, do you think it's a blank sheet of paper? Zhao Jixi said unhappily. Jess, today's discussion is too hasty. Let's set a time to talk properly. What do you think? Chris Kohan said. Fuck you, I want to talk quickly. You old man, go back and think it over. You must spend some time with me. Zhao Jixi thought to himself. Today is indeed a good time, but the old guy is just an old guy, too cunning and rational. Of course, you have the final say. Zhao Jixi said with a relaxed look, as if he didn't take this refusal to heart at all. Jess, there is a very memorable game on the 8th. You can go and show up. The old guy compensated him a favor. If old Nelson goes well, he may become the coach with the highest number of wins in the league in that game. Zhao Jixi thought about it and smiled. He didn't know what kind of coach basketball used. He seemed to only know the good coaches in the league, and this was because the name was easier to remember. As for old Nelson, he really just heard of him. He still had to think for a while before he remembered that he seemed to have heard of him. Thank you, I will go. I have always had season tickets for the Warriors Stadium, but unfortunately I don't have much time to watch the game. Zhao Jixi gave himself a step. He really didn't go to the Warriors many times since he accepted the property. The paparazzi and reporters who had been standing outside the railings at the door were holding up their cameras and snapping away. Zhou hugged the old man, and so did his female companion. Zhang Ziyi also said goodbye to them politely. The paparazzi didn't know who they were, but he could always take pictures of them. The bodyguards drove their cars over one after another, and the guests got into their own cars. Zhou waved goodbye to a few friends before getting into his own car. That seems to be a Chinese actress. I remember seeing her in a magazine. The reporter next to the paparazzi was checking the photos in his hand and whispered to his colleague, "I don't know her. I don't plan to find out about Chinese female stars. You're not a reporter for the entertainment section. Unless the female star has some connection with a politician, what does it have to do with us?" his colleague said as he taught him. This journalist, who seemed to have just graduated from college, looked at his colleague with gratitude and said, "Thank you, I will pay attention. But who is this man? He seems to have a good relationship with Jobs just now." The senior reporter was not just talking. "This man is Zhou, vice chairman of the Chinese American Federation and a member of the board of directors of the Asian American Alliance. This guy is very influential among Asian senior executives. In particular, he is also a member of the board of directors of Apple and holds a lot of Apple stocks. Can you imagine the value of these stocks? This year's Forbes will definitely have him. And his own Sky Games company. Several games you play are all made by him. And Tomcat, which is very popular recently. Man, the market value of these two companies has been estimated by economists to be more than $2 billion, and he only spent $4 million to build them." The reporter obviously ignored the fact that Zhou invested tens of millions more. A few million turned into $2 billion, which really attracted hatred. "Fuck, these rich people," the colleague said jealously. "It is normal for rich people to be surrounded by female stars." "You said he was chatting with Chris Cohan. Could he be thinking of buying his team? This old guy has been in trouble recently. There are rumors in the circle that he is selling the Warriors." The colleague's eyes lit up. It was really possible. Even if he didn't report on such topics, he could let his colleagues do the news. It's possible. Let's tell the boss the news. They will definitely be interested. The paparazzi quietly withdrew his eavesdropping ears. His heart beat faster. He could almost feel the beating. Chapter 756. Zhang Ziyi is trance in the meeting with Apple. Unexpectedly, the man next to Zhang Ziyi is a big fish. Just being a director of Apple is eye-catching enough. Then I heard that they broke the news of two companies worth $2 billion, which were built with $4 million. It's really amazing. Too powerful. Too awesome. International Zhang is International Zhang. Extraordinary. And she can catch this big fish. The identity of the mysterious male protagonist has surfaced a little, so he can find more data. At least it won't be as dark as before. The next thing is to return to China. Try to maximize the benefits of these photos in hand. The editor-in-chief of the company's entertainment section seems to have nothing to do and always takes sick leave. If I can't replace him, I'd better find a new employer quickly. With my 7 or 8 years of experience and this great gift, there is no place where I can't get a position as an editor-in-chief of a section. Why must I cling to the thigh of my old employer? Zhou Jixi was a little itchy in the car, especially when a beautiful woman was next to him, but couldn't move her mouth. The feeling of being in the middle was really uncomfortable, and she couldn't help but ask Zhang Ziyi, "Do you mind if I smoke a cigarette?" The woman was still in a trance. After what she experienced tonight, she felt as if she had jumped into another world, the real upper class. Politics, money, transactions, whether ugly or beautiful, were always different from what she had seen before. Especially the man next to her. It was really beyond her expectations, and he was actually much more powerful than she imagined. I really don't know how long he has been in the United States, but he has already achieved such an achievement. God, it must have been only a year. Sister Ziyi. Sister Ziyi. Zhou Jixi frowned and called twice, thinking that she was around him and wanted to smoke and ignored him. Zhang Ziyi didn't react until Zhou Jixi touched her. Seeing him like this, she knew that she seemed to have called her a lot just now. "Sorry, I was distracted just now. Are you okay? I saw that you don't look very energetic." Zhou Jixi asked with concern, removing the little bit of unhappiness just now. "It's okay, I'm just a little tired. I was distracted by thinking about something just now." Zhang Ziyi explained. "What did you want me to do? Just go back and take a rest. I have a kind of incense over there that is very refreshing. I'll light one for you when I go back, and you'll feel much better." Zhou Jixi looked at her and said, "It's nothing. I just asked if you could smoke. I don't know if you hate the smell of cigarettes." "Thank you," Zhang Ziyi said, thanking him for 2 sentences. "It's okay, you can smoke." When I'm tired of acting, I will also smoke one or two, but cigarettes are not good things after all, so it's better to smoke less at ordinary times. I don't do it very often, I just have a little addiction, Zhou said. Since he didn't mind, he reached out and took out a box of very artistic metal cigarette boxes from the car, opened it and put a cigarette in his mouth. Zhang Ziyi saw this cigarette with no logo and a white cigarette holder. After Zhou lit it, the smell that came out was not the kind of pungent smell, but even had a faint medicinal fragrance, which was not disgusting. What brand of cigarette is this? It doesn't seem to smell very pungent, she asked. It's not a brand. I made it myself. It combines plant medicine materials. It can't be considered a cigarette, but I call it a medicinal cigarette. I originally planned to sell it as a medicine, he said, holding the cigarette in his hand, but look at it. It will take a long time to pass the Food and Drug Administration. Medicinal cigarette? Zhang Ziyi asked curiously. Smoking this is good for the lungs, respiratory tract and tonsils. It is much better than smoking nicotine, and it is not harmful, Zhou explained. So powerful? Zhang Ziyi looked at the small cigarette in his hand in surprise. Haha, do you want to try it too? She nodded and said, I'll try it too. It smells pretty good. Zhou lit one for her. After she puffed and spit twice, she obviously felt a lot more comfortable. It's not the feeling of drugs, but she can clearly feel that the burden on her lungs has been reduced. This cigarette does have the effect you said, It seems to feel a lot better. She made a sound in her nasal voice, which was very greasy and feminine. The two did not roll in the sheets. Yes, Zhou is worse than an animal again. After 1 day and 2 nights, it was still the woman who came to him. He hadn't even had sex with her yet. He looked so embarrassed that he really needed to get out. He went to the room alone, thinking whether he should run over and knock on the door and ask her if she wanted to have a drink so that they could have sex together without any worries. After thinking about it, he decided to forget it. This thing couldn't be forced, so he just let it go. This was the sequel of both of them knowing that going to bed was a matter of time, but it became awkward to take that step. Another night passed. Zhou still had breakfast with Zhang Ziyi in the morning. He had to go to Apple for a meeting in the afternoon, which had been decided long ago. So it was not convenient to take Zhang Ziyi with him, so he took a few people and went to the Apple headquarters for the meeting. Zhang Ziyi planned to go shopping. It would be unreasonable for a woman to not go shopping if she had money. What's more, this time, there were bodyguards who were much more powerful than her assistant to help her carry things. It is obvious that his ability has advanced to a higher level. The burly black and white bodyguards. Compared with her female assistant, even children know that the man is more powerful. The paparazzi uncle is very dedicated. Since he hasn't returned yet, he might as well follow and shoot for a while. Apple headquarters as a non-executive director, Zhou's responsibilities are not very big. He is just a member of the board of directors and one of the 3 members of the review committee. On the other hand, he still has a lot of say. As one of the shareholders committees that specifically control the CEO, he obviously agrees with Jobs' proposals and decisions. This will not change as long as Jobs dies. Of course, he doesn't need to support him after the death of the great generation of businessmen. In the board of directors, he tries to show his presence and make some good suggestions to show that he is not just a decoration as a shareholder. It may be a bit hard and brain consuming to show your presence and ability these days, but as one of the bosses, it seems much simpler for him. If you can't make any suggestions, it's easy to find faults, so Zhou started to find faults. I listed them in a spreadsheet and gave them to CEO Steve Jobs to prevent him from always saying that he was just a decoration, even though that was the truth. Chapter 757 Apple Company Meeting. Zhou's article mentioned above is mostly about the problems of mobile phones. Apple's mobile phone reached a peak in the 4th generation. Whether it is sales or software and hardware, it has reached perfection. Before Zhou's rebirth, there were still many people who liked to use the 4th generation and didn't want to change it. This is the charm of classics. It cannot replace its position in people's hearts in a short period of time. Now Apple is still in the 2nd generation. Zhou's questions are very good and hit many obvious facts. Then there is the proposal about the tablet. This thing has been released in March. It is precisely because of this that Apple's stock price has obviously increased a lot. And the sales in the United States are indeed very good. After looking at the sales report, other countries and regions are also selling more and more hot. Compared to the previous notebook, the emergence of IPD seems more sci-fi and in line with people's fantasy, that kind of touchscreen and experience that is much larger than mobile phones. Tablets are also PDs. Apple has already started the project to replace laptops 10 years ago, but because of many problems, screen, signal, battery, thickness and weight, etc., Apple's tablet was directly abandoned in 2008. Later, netbooks appeared and eroded the notebook market. This is why they had to restart the tablet project. After the first generation was released, Zhou had already experienced a period of history. He did not use the tablet. The current tablet was still a little bulky for him. He raised some issues and areas that needed improvement in the proposal, and also suggested that they could consider making a smaller tablet. He thought that the later MN was good in terms of being lighter and easier to hold in the hand. He still felt that the PD was much more comfortable than the MN. Zhou's efforts were still recognized by the board of directors. At least he did have a serious understanding of Apple, and the people on the board of directors had a better impression of Zhou. Jobs was no exception. Many of Zhou's proposals were nonsense, but there were also some proposals that were refreshing. Everyone in the conference room praised Zhou. He deserved to be able to make a few games with his own creativity and get a game company worth more than $1 billion and a social software company worth more than $1 billion. And there is no need to say more. Everyone knows that it is creativity, his wild creativity, that can achieve such an achievement. As for the game engineers, forget it. There are too many people like this in Silicon Valley. As long as they need them, they can always find a group of people. This is much more convenient than Zhou's initial search for a way out. Jess, your proposal is great. As a director of Apple, I hope you can tell the company if you have good ideas in the future. After all, you are also a director. The better the company is, the more benefits you can get. Jobs said this simply at the meeting. It was a bit straightforward, but he was really praising him. He explained his value to everyone. Zhou is a very valuable person. If nothing else, the brain he has is worth doing this. Of course, that's why I hope everyone can solve some existing problems together. As a director of the company, I also like the company to get better and better, Zhou said while sitting in a chair. Although he was dressed in formal clothes, he still had a frivolous and relaxed taste. Businessmen can accept this. It's just a little frivolous. It can create benefits. These are all small details. I don't quite agree with your proposal to make a large screen mobile phone. We have our own insistence on mobile phones. The current size and screen are the best match, and we have already made plans for the next 2 years. There is no need to talk about this for the time being. Jobs said at the meeting. You have the final say, Zhou said, as if he didn't mind. Giving this proposal is already extra. He feels that the screen is too small when he uses Apple, and he doesn't like the large screen 4-star. Other brands are not fun, and sometimes he is really entangled. It's better to make a mobile phone yourself, with Apple's core and a large screen outer box, and make a good one. We don't care whether the cost is high or low. There are so many cheap ones, and there are really not many expensive and fashionable ones. How could Zhou have no opinion on Jobs? A kind suggestion. Are you kidding me? The more Zhou thought about it, the more he felt that this matter seemed to have a way out. He invested tens of millions to make a mobile phone and try to see if he could reach an agreement with Apple and use its OS system. Otherwise, he would use Android, which is high-end and classy. We are just a little more expensive, not for the masses, as long as a niche likes it. He had an idea in his mind, and he didn't listen carefully to what was said in the meeting room. No one cared. It was good enough for Zhou to come here, and he also gave a proposal. It was a gift, to sit with you until the end. Want a cigar? Art. Lazan, who was sitting next to him, said to him easily. Zhou glanced at him and said, thank you. He took it, took out a match and toasted it, smelling the mellow aroma wafting out of it. The high quality Cuban goods are really good. Of course, it is still illegal for the United States to buy this, but people feel more energetic when they smoke it. Art. Lazan cut the cigar, lit it and took a puff. There were more than a dozen people in the office, and some of them smoked cigars, but the two were not very prominent. Can we chat later? Art. Lazan suddenly said in a low voice. Zhou Jixi glanced at an old woman and a few hidden people. He nodded, of course. But together? Zhou Jixi asked again. Art Lathan said, we need to put some pressure on them, don't we? It seems that you are ready to pay the price. After more than 2 hours of meetings, everyone packed up and prepared to leave. Jobs on the stage made a lot of assurances to these shareholders. Jay Chou represented the interests of shareholders. As a non-executive director, he himself did not take this seriously. After leaving the company, Art Lathan got into Jay Chou's car, and the other 4 shareholders got in together. This is mainly because his car is relatively large, and his security facilities look more reassuring. Compared with his subordinates, several people found that they were still too economical, and they had to hire 2 more bodyguards. In the office of Apple Jobs, several senior management of the company gathered now, and Cook was sitting on the sofa opposite Jobs, holding the cup in his hand a little irritably. Those few people got into Jay Chou's car. I don't know what they will talk about. Jobs has become very thin, but he is still so sharp and wise when he is thinking. They just did it for us to see. There's nothing to worry about. Now some people on the board are questioning your succession to my position. Chapter 758, Apple's Successor, Part 1. Others are directly suspicious and may want to reduce their holdings of Apple shares. These people are the ones who are walking with Jay Chou. Their intention is very clear, that is, to create a sense of crisis for you. Fortunately, these vampires are not the biggest enemy. As long as they are given enough benefits, I believe they will stand on your side. Cooper has been looking forward to this position for a long time, but his creativity and innovation ability are really distrustful. He can't be as calm as Jobs, and said with a little emotion, do I need to talk to Jess? Not for the time being. What they pursue is different from the other group of people. They are not the main opponents in terms of company management rights. Art Lathan is more concerned about the right to speak on the board of directors, and the group represented by Jay Chou is concerned about the stocks they hold. Jobs waved his hand to indicate that he didn't need to worry, took out the essence given by Jay Chou, and ripped it all over the floor in his mouth. Although the taste was not very good, he felt a lot more comfortable. Then he continued, Art Lathan is getting together with them now, probably to win them over. I think he hopes to sit on the position of chairman of the board in the future. This is good news for us. At least he can stabilize these people, and will also help us make guarantees. Jobs' analysis at least made him feel better. Several other senior executives also expressed their own opinions. They are now the beneficiaries around Jobs. His dictatorship is to fire those who don't listen to him, and replace them with those who listen to him, and have some ability. Otherwise, Apple would not be able to achieve the current level. After Jobs takes over, they have to think about their own positions. The key is that the board of directors wants another person to take over as CEO, which is not in the interests of Jobs and their people. And then it will be time for them to stand in line, and many people have their own plans in mind. Zhou Jixi's group does not have a good reputation, otherwise the executives would not mind being their spokespersons. At this time, another group of people were also organizing discussions. How did Art Lathan talk? He didn't express his opinion. He probably trusts Jobs more. After all, we all know his vision. The successor that Jobs decided on may have other plans. An old man said calmly, without much emotional fluctuation. He has experienced a lot in this life, and these are just small waves. Plans. Jobs still wants to wait until he recovers from his illness and reign over Apple again. This man's hair is a little grey, and he is much younger than the old man at the beginning. He sneered. It's not as simple as we think for him to push Cooper out. Cooper doesn't know his position yet. It depends on Jobs' illness. If he is cured, then even if he becomes the CEO, he will have to be kicked out by Jobs himself in the end. If he is not cured, then he may be able to take his position. Another person who was sitting with them said, "What a pathetic person. He still thinks that the resistance comes only from a group of people on the board of directors. It's not so easy to stabilize a few people in the shark gang." However, Cooper still has some advantages. At least he represents stability and caution. In this case, it is also what Apple needs. The old man who just spoke added. Then he looked at a young man, who was the youngest in the group. "Your advantage in this aspect is obviously not as good as Cooper's, and the other characteristics you have are not what Jobs needs now, and may even pose a threat to him." The man who was said, wearing gold-rimmed glasses, was very unwilling in his eyes, and his hands were clenched into fists. He thought he was not as good as Jobs, but compared to Cooper, he was definitely better than him. This is not just what he thinks, but a fact that has been confirmed by many people. It's just that the boss now is Jobs, and he is not the person he needs. If he wants to struggle in vain, it will only destroy the evaluation of him by these directors, and he can only be depressed and unconvinced in his heart. Cooper, do you really think you can sit in the position so easily? Wait for it. Art. Lazan left first in Jay Chow's car. After the bodyguard outside nodded, he closed the door again. The other people did not leave first. Jay Chow took a puff of medicinal smoke to clear the exhaust gas brought by the cigar to his lungs, and asked the others in the smoke, "What do you think? Can he be trusted?" An individual Apple shareholder also took a puff of cigarette and said, "His promise is very tempting, and I dare not guarantee whether he will really do it. There is still a lack of sufficient trust between us. But one thing is right, Cooper will be more stable." After a pause, "But Cooper can guarantee stability in the short term, and Apple's stock will even rise. After all, Apple has made a 2-year plan. Jobs is not a guy who gives up so easily. He has done his best to buy time. Cooper just needs to ensure the execution of the plan, and this is what he is good at. So after this period of time, we can finally speculate on the stock again, and then sell off at the peak to make a profit. Then continue to suppress Apple's stock price, and we will increase our holdings after the stock price is low." Jay Chow also spoke up. "According to the answer given by Jobs, I think everyone has already made up their mind about the answer to the question I just raised. Even if he thinks it is good, he will not change it at will. As for the reason, I think everyone has understood it. Jobs does not want to change now, and Cooper will not change, even if there are good suggestions. He does not have much time left before there is a health notice." Someone sneered. Several people nodded. Indeed, Jay Chow had already tried out the answer they needed. "This is indeed the most beneficial to us. But those foundations and investment institutions will not let us do what we want. Maybe they can directly take us out of Apple at that time. This is exactly what they want." Another 50-year-old bald fat man said. The man just now sneered. "We can contact government departments to cause them some trouble and have the appropriate government intervene to investigate Apple. Anyway, many things Apple does are illegal. Although it will not cause harm to the company, it will definitely make them unable to take care of many things, especially after Jobs is no longer the CEO." Zhou Jixi and a few others thought this was a good idea. Zhou Jixi also said, "I can also ask China and several Asian countries to investigate Apple or arrange a case. Asia is a big piece of fat meat in Apple's territory. If something happens to them, it will directly affect Apple's stock price." Chapter 759, Apple's successor. If Cooper had managed Apple at that time, he would not have had the same charm as Jobs. These actions would have made him flustered. If he handled it improperly, other people on the board would also be dissatisfied with him. The greed of those foundations and investment institutions is not much better than ours. The company's top management was in turmoil. Apple was investigated by the government, and there were accidents in the sales area. Haha. I don't know to what extent the stock would be suppressed at that time. I think people who hold stocks would be scared to sell them." The man suddenly became confident, and the other two were the same. The smile on the corner of his mouth was like a shark smelling blood. Just like the internal directors of Apple called them the Shark Gang. As long as there was blood, they would go up and take a bite. They had an ugly, greedy look and bad style. Some people even called them the ugliest parasites in the company. Zhou Jixi also blamed his investment advisor for his ugly greed and bad behavior when he started buying Apple stocks. In fact, he really didn't mind his investment advisor's behavior, and he had enough stocks, so he was attracted to the profit layer by this group of people. Yes, this is a good idea. Not only can we make a fortune, but we can also increase our shares. Although we don't need much say, it's a good thing to have it, isn't it? Haha. The third one was a woman who looked a little mean, holding a thin and long pipe with a cigarette holder in her hand. The last one was a little thin, and it seemed that the old man was sick like Jobs. He took a puff of cigarette and said it, after feeling much more relaxed. Jess, how long do you think Jobs can last? This was the core question for several people. If Jobs was fine, they would be happy to watch the stock price rise. If Jobs died, Apple would definitely not have the current growth rate and potential. Apple's stock price would return to a position that is truly suitable for it, instead of the current existence with unlimited potential. At that time, it would be a good opportunity to make a fortune and increase the stocks in hand. Zhou looked at them seriously and said, his body can't stand several surgeries, even if he uses the medicine I gave him. I studied Western medicine as a minor, and now I'm also very good at Chinese medicine. Judging from his current physical condition, while taking the medicine I gave him, I don't think he has a chance to live longer, unless his doctor can create a miracle. Hey. Several people sighed. If he didn't have health problems, we wouldn't have to do so many things. The old woman said with a little regret. The fat old man just laughed twice. Are you really not going to do it, if he is in good health? Humph. The old woman glanced at him, and didn't refute anything. What kind of people everyone is. Even after Zhou attended several gatherings, he knew it very clearly. There was no need to say it out loud. The fat bald man just thought that the woman was really too hypocritical, and just made a few sarcastic remarks. It's too early to say this now, but we are prepared, and we can't go wrong. After all, we don't know when God will invite Jobs to heaven. I think it may be that God also thinks that heaven should be managed by science and technology, and Jobs is a good choice. The fat bald man wanted to be more humorous. Who knows? Poor Jobs. I think he can bring Apple to a higher level. Disease is really a disgusting devil. Zhou didn't say anything about these words. After all, he and Jobs have a personal relationship. In terms of company decision making, he has followed Jobs' will. Even Jobs is using him to stabilize the company's parasitic shareholders. I think this gathering will make two groups of people react. I guess Jobs will talk to me. I still have to think about what to say. Zhou felt a little headache. Haha. This is a good thing. Try to fight for it. It can also increase your weight in his mind, right? The fat bald man said with a smile. That will only increase my burden. Do you think conscience has no weight? Zhou said. The atmosphere suddenly became solemn as he said this. I sell my conscience by the gram. Haha. Jess, you are really humorous. The other old foxes also laughed and regarded what they just said as Zhou's humor. In fact, what Zhou said was just the facts. They are businessmen, not those entrepreneurs who are full of dreams. The matter was settled. Zhou invited several people to have dinner in his restaurant, and several people went there happily. They are allies of interests. It is a better lubricant for cooperation, to communicate more with each other. Jess, your cigarettes are really good. Can you give me some more? You gave them to me last time, and I don't have much now. The skinny old man has felt much better since he smoked the medicinal cigarettes given by Zhou, especially since he has respiratory diseases. He has suppressed them under the medicinal cigarettes. Even if he can't recover, it makes life more comfortable. After all, coughing is not a happy thing. Didn't I give you thousands of cigarettes last time? You're telling me you've used them all? My god, isn't that a big one, old man? How many do you smoke a day? Zhou said in disbelief. I just feel a lot more relaxed and don't cough anymore. Especially my lungs can often cough up phlegm, so I want to try more. The old man didn't look as gloomy as before, but more like an old man. Oh, I'm still eating. The old woman said disgustedly. The fat bald man and the middle-aged man almost all looked disgusted. Let me see your hand first. Zhou said a little seriously. The old man stretched out his hand, and he first checked his pulse, then his tongue and the white of his eyes. After checking everything, He nodded and said, "Fortunately, there is no big problem. Have you been to the hospital for a checkup?" Of course, the doctor also said that there is really nothing wrong with me. The old illness is still the same, but the condition seems to be a little better than before, almost invisible. The doctor said that this is already a very good situation, and he feels that I'm very lucky. The old man said with a smile. Indeed, you smoked so much when you were young. It is really a lucky thing that you didn't get cancer. Now you have suppressed the disease and can continue to smoke. You are really happy. The fat bald man said jealously. Haha. The old man laughed proudly twice. Don't worry, I'm not buying your stuff, and this is not an experimental drug, but just a cigarette made from plants. We haven't violated American laws, right? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 760. Want to gather a mobile phone team? Zhou rolled his eyes at him. It's because my things are not for sale that I think it's not worth it. Don't you think this is a huge loss of profits? Come on, man, I know you're not a stingy person. The old guy was so thick-skinned that he couldn't even compare to the city wall. Zhou looked at the others, and they also looked concerned. He didn't think they were concerned about the old man. These guys thought that if the old man took the things, they would probably not be missing. People can't be partial to one and ignore the other. I'm not a stingy person. Who told you that? Zhou said with a good look on his face. Come on, Jess. Just think of it as I owe you a favor. The old man didn't give up so easily. Old Nash, you already owe me a favor, and now you want to owe me another one. Are you sure? Zhou was very interested in this. There was also an advantage to not being able to collect money, that is, using favors to pay off. They actually hoped that Zhou would sell this medicinal cigarette, but there was no trading license for this thing. They were sure that Zhou didn't like to give them such a stupid handle. The medicinal cigarette seemed to have a good market value. At least smokers would regard it as a cigarette companion. Like coffee companion. Smoking this after smoking a cigarette has a good effect on the respiratory tract and lungs. The market value is not yet certain, but it is estimated to be worth at least hundreds of millions of dollars. They also believed that Zhou would not sell it without a license before obtaining a license. I'm sure. The old man looked at him seriously and said, "Tell me, young man, do you want me to give you one now?" The old man was even holding up his heirs just to show his value. The other few people saw that they had to owe a favor, and this matter seemed to be a bit disadvantageous. In the circle of businessmen, sometimes reputation is more important than conscience. If you agree and then go back on your word, don't mix with them in the future. It's a bit difficult to mix with them in the United States, a country where reputation is so important. But the old woman didn't mind it very much. The old man had money to make himself feel a lot more comfortable, so of course he didn't mind paying a little price. And it's not a big price. I believe that he will only ask for a favor that is worth the price if he owes Zhou. After all, he is not such an unwise person. The old woman is still very confident about this. Even if it is not that, she will not suffer a loss. Everyone has things that are too much. Of course, she can't agree. She will not regret it and will only ask him to change something worthwhile to repay. The fat bald man just thinks that this cigarette is really good, and the middle-aged man is the same. If Zhou gives it to him, he will accept it. It's a small favor that they can repay with 1 or 2 gifts of relatively good value. It's not like these 2 old guys who have to owe a big debt of favor, which is not so easy to repay. Jess, count me in too. The woman looks a little mean, but fortunately she is a trustworthy person. Okay, just send me a message when you finish smoking. I can supply you for a year, but don't ask for too much. Zhou agreed. Haha, Jess, we don't need so much. How about just a little bit of it? The fat bald man also pulled the middle-aged man along. Seeing that he didn't mind, he probably meant the same thing. No, it should be definitely the same thing. Zhou could certainly agree to it. These conditional contributions were good for him. They were almost like free expenses. There was no problem at all. Okay. Smiles appeared on the faces of several people, especially the two older people. In fact, this woman was not really old. She was only in her 50s at most. It was a bit unfair to call her an old woman. But who told the fat bald man and the middle-aged man to be younger than her? It was inevitable that Zhou Jixi would call her an old woman. This was also something that she could only call in her heart. If she really said it out loud, she would definitely be scolded by this lady. Don't doubt a woman's anger after the beauty has passed away. After Zhou Jixi agreed, the atmosphere became much more joyful. Good things always make people feel good. This is an unchanging truth. Several people finished eating one after another, and there was already dessert on the table. Zhou Jixi is still eating now. Several people are used to it. It is estimated that he wants to eat a lot to maintain such a body shape. Old Nash wiped his mouth, and his action was very elegant and in line with the image of a gentleman. But his image affected this picture. Patients are always helpless. The crowd. Jess, tell me about your business. Zhou Jixi first made a gesture, and the other hand and mouth sped up to quickly solve the food. Finally, he breathed a sigh of relief after drinking a glass of red wine. You should have seen my proposal today. Several people nodded. It is indeed a good proposal. In order to test jobs, you have prepared enough. I think many people in the board of directors have changed their impression of you now. Zhou Jixi waved his hand and said, this is not the point. Let's not talk about this for now. After a pause, he drank a glass of red wine and continued, there is an item about large screen mobile phones in it. Have you also seen it? Of course, the one that Jobs rejected. Old Nash nodded and said. Jay Chow was powerless to dwell on the words that upset him in the old man's words. Proposing a test was one part, and being rejected was another. He was rejected for probing, which also brought him an unhappy mood. Let's not dwell on the topic of Jobs' rejection for now, and get back to what I want to say. Jay Chow said. Everyone looked at each other, and Old Nash and several other people also said easily, you say. I want to try making a mobile phone. He expressed his idea. Make a mobile phone. If you want, go to the company to customize it. No, that's not what I mean. I want to make my own brand and take a niche path. The old man already understood Jay Chow's meaning. Do you want me to help you find someone to form a team? Yes, Old Nash, you are already a living history in this industry. I believe that with your connections, you can help me get this done quickly. Especially now that our beautiful lady has joined. I think your speed can probably be much faster. Jay Chow said as he made a gentleman's salute to the woman. Old Nash and the woman were both in deep thought, and the woman also frowned. It was not very difficult to do this thing. But to form a complete team, a lot of people must be recruited, but where to recruit them is a problem. There are also people from other American mobile phone brands, and many of the best are now in Apple. To be honest, when Apple appeared, the designers of BlackBerry, Nokia, Motorola and other companies had already fallen behind. Chapter 761, Zhou Jixi wants to swing the hoe. To achieve what Zhou Jixi wants, it is best to dig out the wall of his own company. Dig out a few people from Apple and form a team with them as a core. Apple has the most advanced thinking consciousness of this era in the field of smartphones. After thinking for a while, the two began to chat privately. It is about the people who recently left Apple and other people who can be dug out by other companies. Fat Bald D certainly did not sit there for nothing. He also thought of one or two people, and the same was true for the young man. When Zhou Jixi said goodbye to a few people, he knew that at least part of the team could be put together. I remember that the Xiaophone mobile phone, which was very popular in the previous life of China, also started with a studio team. Later, a company was formed to start financing, and it became Xiaophone Technology. Xiaophone Company. Oh, I'm lucky to remember it now. I almost forgot about this. Zhou Jixi slapped his brain. Although he didn't know how much financing was needed, Xiaophone mobile phones were so popular in the previous life, and the market value of Xiaophone Company was rising every day, so he knew that investing in this company would definitely be right. Investing at the beginning is obviously more advantageous than raising funds later. It's just a question of whether they will allow investment or not, but Zhou Jixi can't just give up like that. Hello, Elena. Zhou Jixi took out his mobile phone and called his investment consultant. "What's the matter, boss?" The voice was a little depressed, and it was estimated that this woman was resting now. "See if there are any people in the capital who are in contact with investors in the mobile phone field, and the former CEO of Jinsen Company, Lei Jun. I heard that he has made some moves recently. See if he needs investment." Zhou Jixi said to the phone. "Okay, boss, you have the final say." Elena didn't ask the reason. These rich people always have their own friends and information channels, especially when the boss is a director of a multinational company. She also knows a lot about the dirty things inside Apple. Needless to say, the style of the group of people represented by Zhou Jixi is probably that they smelled blood again and wanted to take a bite before this. After hanging up the phone, Zhou Jixi felt relieved. If I can catch up, should I also go there to be a co-founder? If he were included in the photo of several big names in Zhou Company, those tech geeks would be ashamed. He has been busy lately, one thing after another, and just now he forgot to tell Elena that he could speed up the negotiation process with Chris Cohen. He wanted to call him, but he was taking a break, so he would talk about it later. It is one thing for China to invest in mobile phone companies, but he still has to make his own mobile phones. He has already made products such as mobile phones and watches, and other things. He will make as much as he can first, at least to show creativity and innovation. Zhou Jixi has recently understood this routine, which is necessary to sell the company at a good price. He also has a plan in his mind, that is, when Apple is struggling with the large screen mobile phones of 4-star in the market, he still has such a high-end large screen mobile phone manufacturing team. At that time, will the board of directors want to buy his company and directly supplement Apple? And if Cooper or other people who want to be the president of the company want to win over his group of people, they will choose to give some benefits and increase the price for them to acquire them, which will benefit everyone. By selling this mobile phone company, he might get a lot of cash and Apple shares. Just like Steve Jobs entered Disney with Pixar, he became the largest individual shareholder. When the tyrant president of Disney saw him, he had to be honest, even if the relationship between the two had always been bad. This model seems to be very promising, especially since Apple later compromised with the market and developed a large screen mobile phone, but problems arose after the development, which was really a bit sad. Do I have to poach people from 4-star? Zhou Jixi thought about it and felt that this must be nonsense. It was not his style not to poach people. There were many teams in 4-star. Wouldn't it be better if he poached a team directly if he saw it was suitable? With the people poached from Apple, he didn't believe that he couldn't make a mobile phone he liked. The problematic mobile phone of Apple was obviously a product after Jobs' death. The person who led this project was no longer Jobs, but Cooper. Facts have proved that he really didn't do a good job. He didn't dare to put pressure on all parties, which led to this unnecessary negligence. This problem should have been considered before the product was finalized, but it still appeared. Zhou Jixi now thinks that the board of directors will fire him sooner or later. Elena, who works for Zhou Jixi in Zhou, came out of the hotel in the morning to check out the company she was going to invest in today. Their team's current office in Zhou is directly located in the capital branch of the cinema company invested by Zhou Jixi. Because the cinema license still needs a little time, the cinema invested by Zhou Jixi is a bit complicated and affiliated with other cinemas. Now they don't ask for how much money they can make. They build the cinema first. If it is built in a few years, it will not be this price. Zhou Jixi will make at least several times the price with this. They have allocated a large area here for Elena to use as a temporary office, and they can also handle the cinema affairs by the way. Mr. Lei. Elena sat in the car and looked at the documents sent by her subordinates, which introduced this Zhou man. He is indeed a very powerful person, and Elena has to admire this man. Some time ago, a team from Zhou Company came out and contacted Lei Jun. They plan to set up a mobile phone studio. Now they are trying to attract investment from the industry. Zhou consultant explained on the side. Thanks to Lei Jun and his group who came from the internet, Irina's investment in Zhou is mostly in internet projects. Can you invite him out to talk? I'll try my best. Zhou consultant thought for a while and said, Then hurry up, I'll go to Jinxie Mall first. Irina glanced at him and said. After the man nodded, he left to do business. Irina led a team of 8 people to Jinxie Mall. This Cheyenne Cheo e-commerce is developing very well and has great potential. With her experience and the investment list given to her by the boss, this is indeed a good investment project. The office building where Jinxie Company is located has been prepared long ago today to ensure that when investors come, there will be no damage to the company's image. Last year, the first round of financing of capital today and ZNIU was raised. This year, as Jinxie is getting better and better and in urgent need of strengthening, the boss Liu Kaiangxi and the board of directors have decided to open new financing. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.